Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for joining us to another episode, you guys. This is going to be a deep dive into the Rebecca Minkoff PR Spin OSA tour that she is currently doing. Okay. Hello, Amy. Hello, Lara. We are going to be doing this episode, and this episode we're calling this DYFR. Do your effing research. And for this episode, you guys, all of you are going to need sticky notes. So if you don't have sticky notes close to you, go get that. You're going to need a Sharpie. Okay, because you're going to have to be writing things down on your sticky notes. At the end, you're going to be left with all the dots that you are all going to connect independently. And of course, we're going to be facilitating and forwarding some of that conversation. So this is another podcast done here. It's called episode 47 from this man named Kyle that Rebecca went to go visit all the way over to Nashville, you guys. All the way to Nashville. Rebecca's traveling. Kyle Matthews of 1,302 subscribers, 1.3, right? So Rebecca's going to Nashville to meet with Kyle that has 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now, why does Kyle have 5,700 likes? Why does Kyle have 307K views on this episode, you guys? But then, let me just expand this a little more here. But then look at this. 0 comments. 0 comments on this podcast. 0 comments and 370K views and 5,700 likes. Kyle Matthews, 1.3 subscribers. I mean, maybe he has another podcast on another platform that he's doing real well at, but this type of situationship is not making any kind of sense. This exact number does not make sense. So you have 1,000 subscribers, but your video of Rebecca Minkoff got 307,000 views, and you got 5,700 likes, but no one bothered to comment anything. I can add a comment here, you guys. It says 0 comments. So it's not like he turned them off because he was getting some bad comment. So just to really just kind of start really putting into perspective just how much crisis management amends project Rebecca Minkoff is really on, because Scientology is never okay with you making them look bad in the press. You cannot commit more of a criminal high crime that makes Scientology look bad in the press. And Rebecca knows this. Every Scientology kid that grew up in that hotel knows the last thing Scientology expects from you is for you to be Glutz PRing them. And they called Glutz PR, write that on your notes. Glutz PR, that's GLUTS. Glutz PR is what you call showing people like disgusting things that are going on inside of your hotel operation that you wouldn't want anyone to know. Because you know what? If people found out, they would be outraged. If people found out, they would be calling the cops. If people found out, they would be, sounding alarms. So all the kids, including Rebecca Minkoff, that grew up inside of that hotel system got told never under any circumstances ever Glutz PR Scientology. And Rebecca has done the Glutz PR campaign of the century. Literally, There's more content than you can even possibly react to, you guys. And this went on for an hour and 10 minutes. So we sped it up because you know what? There's a lot to cover. So write the definition of Glutz PR on your notes and understand that that's what Scientology is always most pressed about. They cannot handle it. Anytime they look bad, anytime they feel that the public perception on them is shifting, people are getting punished. Rebecca's having to really go out of her way. I mean, traveling all the way to Nashville here to do a podcast with a guy that has 1,300 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, apparently he's some football guy. I have no idea who he is. So we're just going to be reacting, contextualizing, and, transforming this. So you guys can all start taking notes of how the fake pitches come from the Scientologists. Write that for yourselves. As you're listening to the live, write that for yourself. Educate yourselves on the points that we're bringing up, because it's important that everyone gets a literal education. Okay, so let's really break it down here.
I did an I Love New York shirt that I had ripped up and cut and bedazzled. All the proceeds were going to the Red Cross for restoration efforts for 9/11 and rescue efforts. And it was in magazine.
So right away, we're going back to the origin story, you guys. And Rebecca always has her short stories down pat. So you'll always hear about, oh, how did you get started? Oh, this New York bedazzled t-shirt that I transformed, that she apparently was giving all the proceeds to, what was it? The Red Cross, was it? Because see, what you don't know about Rebecca, or maybe you guys do know, is that yes, her origin story is exactly that, right? Like, she went to New York and she got herself on staff at the Scientology Celebrity Center. Okay. And there got also hooked up with Craig Taylor, which you're going to hear about him, Scientologists that used to be making tailor-made shirts for people. That's who Rebecca went to work with, left Florida. We're going to get into it later, like how exactly old she was, but she was quite young. Okay. But she went there to have some sort of like internship with Craig Taylor, where apparently she was being paid $3 an hour. So imagine she didn't even sign a billion-year contract and Craig Taylor was paying her $3 an hour. And Rebecca Minkoff said that. Rebecca literally smeared another Scientologist publicly, saying that she only got paid $3. Like, do you think that that's the type of information OSA wants out there being spoken about? Like, now we have to speak about the so-called Scientologist Craig Taylor that really wanted to have Rebecca move from across state lines from Florida to New York to really do a $3 a day, $3 an hour internship that Rebecca was, pretty much furious about. You guys, you should see how pressed she is that she was getting paid $3 an hour. Rebecca, you should ask us, the kids that were in the Sea Org, how much we were getting paid per hour. And imagine that when they scammed us, Rebecca, we were, mind you, we were literal early teens. So just so you start like adjusting your balance, so you don't go, oh my God, they're coming for me, I'm such a victim. No, Rebecca, we're contextualizing and giving you facts, which you need. Apparently you need, because all you've been doing is manipulating public image, acting as a Scientology industry plant in the fashion world to really pitch yourself as successful entrepreneur that you're not, and you know it. You even know it. And it's fine. Just don't give us this whole bedazzle thing and that we're really donating all the proceeds to the Red Cross because 9/11 happened right then, and that's when you and Jenna Elfman came up with like a PR moment that wasn't organic, right, you guys? Because that's what you guys need to understand. Like, these PR stunts are not organic. Oh, Jenna Elfman just happened to show up at Jay Leno, happened to have a t-shirt, happened to be designed by Rebecca Minkoff. Do you see why Rebecca Minkoff, like, why would Rebecca Minkoff be pressed about Scientology, you guys? Really do ask yourselves. Scientology was there to make that connection between her and Jenna Elfman. Just from the very start, this is Rebecca's origin story. So you understand how like the industry plant works. And before you get too confused, do not get confused. Why was Rebecca, the daughter of David Minkoff, sent to another state away from Florida while what was going on with Lisa McPherson right around that time? Can anyone figure it out or not? Because you know what? Put that on your notes. Rebecca Minkoff, daughter of David Minkoff. That she did end up in New York, that she did end up doing this t-shirt, that she does pitch here, that she was giving everything to charity. And that would be great if she did give that all to charity, but you're about to make a contradictory statement right here, Rebecca. So let's just hear what you say.
After magazine after magazine, my CEO called me and she's like, you've got to choose. You're fired unless you can commit to me the way you're committed to this. And I know the answer, so go. And I was like, no, just kidding. I really.
And by the way, this so-called CEO that Rebecca keeps talking about, another Scientologist. So another Scientologist that I met personally, because I went and met with Craig Taylor as well when I landed in New York. Remember, Rebecca? Remember that I called you? Remember that, anyways, we're not going to get into that right now. Let's not digress.
I'd love a stable paycheck, please.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I see it in you and I see that fire and you've got to go do it. And so it was.
So Rebecca had this conversation with the Scientology boss, the one that she and I both know. And Rebecca was begging for her $3 an hour secure paycheck because she really, really wanted to hold on to it. But this other Scientology figure that, Rebecca really met, the CEO, so-called CEO, another woman that was all up in the Scientology hotels for herself. It's all incestuous, you guys. All of these connections, all of these links, all of this. Let me really introduce you to this other person that's here at this other hotel. What are they really actually doing? Who are they introducing to who exactly? Because that's what everyone just like goes over everyone's head. Oh, people at the Scientology hotels practicing a lot of religion. In what world is hooking you up with Jenna Elfman a religious experience, Rebecca? Is that just like any old religious experience that you want to like equate to another religion that you really want to bring up? It was all a networking opportunity for the people that got selected to be good enough to be part of that superiority complex hotel that they all belong to, that they're all very proud to belong to. Let's not forget they're proud. These people are proud. They have no shame at all. Apparently, according to them, everything is great. Everything is absolutely wonderful. They can't get enough of how much anxiety it's relieved when they go visit these hotels. And just take a look at the thumbnail that we put for ourselves so that the people that have followed the Real Housewives for all this time, that are all so confused about the Scientology situation, take a look at the thumbnail and you write it on your notes. What is the problem that you see in that thumbnail? What could possibly go wrong with what's in that thumbnail? Write that on your note, and then, we're going to get to the end and we'll see if you got the right answer, okay?
It's terrifying to know that my meager $6 an hour was gone and I had to exist.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to tell you guys, she got raised from $3 an hour to $6, okay? So she does say here that she did $6, but, she got started at $3, okay? So the Scientology CEO and Scientologist Craig Taylor was, out there recruiting $3 an hour girls that could, come in and let me really show you the fashion world. Right, Rebecca?
Exist on my own fumes, which who knew how long people wanted these shirts, plus any and all.
Well, nothing like a vote of confidence. Who knew how long people were going to want the shirts? You took opportunity of a situation, Rebecca. And I mean, yeah, at the time, no one called you out. At the time, it was, acknowledged like as a token of goodwill. Oh, look at this girl. Like, America was mourning. America was in grief. America was crying. New York was absolutely in the floor. And you came up with this idea, but I don't know.
Profit, with the exception of like paying for my rent and food, was going.
See, and I know it's real fast, guys, but this transformative, literal, transformative AF content making. I need to literally contextualize what she's saying. So she just told us that she was what? Oh yeah, giving the profits to the Red Cross. So you mean to tell us, Rebecca, that you're giving the profits of your t-shirts to the Red Cross, and then you somehow still had money to pay for your food and your rent in New York, and you were just selling a t-shirt? I mean, damn. I mean, maybe, right? Like maybe you made so many hundreds of thousands of dollars from so much support that you did get for yourself, but just, I don't know.
Age 20. So the pandemic, were you in New York?
We were in New York. 70% of my business evaporated overnight.
70% of her business evaporated overnight through the pandemic. So this is what you were getting confronted on the Real Housewives, Rebecca, that was missing your withhold. Because they kept saying, oh yeah, Rebecca Minkoff, it's Nordstrom's rack. Number one, you fell for the trap right there. What was wrong? What was shameful? What was... Like, imagine being Nordstrom Rack, a client of yours, and you and the Housewives are playing a joke on that brand, smearing them all over your TV, right? Because, what? Nordstrom Rack? Ugh. Like, you were pressed that she said that. Just calling it what it was, Rebecca. I'm sorry, but you were pressed. When Bryn said Nordstrom Rack, you literally fell straight down because, again, you're so easily baited. As soon as you get, again, I thought it was smart of Bryn to come at you like that because you know what? It was kind of being stupid. Everybody knew that Scientology was going to be caliente. Very, very caliente. Do you really want to ask her that? So she came to you with Nordstrom Rack, but you just acted really pressed, acted really hurt, acted like the victim, came up with a whole leaky pigeon campaign after that, to retaliate and get all the other housewives to really let's all turn against the leaky pigeon, you guys. And then all that backfired on your face because you were putting out rumors that you were pregnant and you didn't know who your baby daddy was, because that's how you and your husband do it. Got it.
And we were forced to really look at what mattered. And what mattered was everything we needed to do for our own website, our own e-commerce. And did those sirens bother you, or should I keep talking?
No, just keep talking. It sounds like New York outside.
It does.
No, we're sitting here in downtown Nashville, so you're going to...
Wee-oo.
Everything can be edited. The exact magic man.
Pause for this.
But so New York pandemic, I mean, that was in many ways in the U.S. epicenter, ground zero of what was that like?
So
second ground zero for Rebecca. Let's not forget, she started monetizing after ground zero happened. The original ground zero in New York happened. Rebecca came up with a t-shirt. She went and bought it from vendors. So, and she did what she did, guys. Fine. It was her hustle. Then she got this other Scientologist to pimp her out and be like, oh, buy my t-shirt. Great. Do that. But Rebecca, it's not that you're getting Jenna Hoffman to help you. It's what's getting funded by that help. It's what getting funded by your donations to the IAS, by your donations to do courses, by your donations to do audits, by your donations to endorse and follow on the footsteps of your mom, Sue Minkoff, and David Minkoff, who groomed you up to your neck and ears. So before you start acting really pressed, if you have a problem with what we're telling you, Rebecca, take it up with your own father and your own mother. Take it up with them. If you have a problem with anything we say on these podcasts, because you are very good at turning everything against you and be like, oh my God, I'm such the victim. You are the victim, Rebecca. You are the victim because you're a kid that grew up in Scientology. That's why you're the victim. Now you're also a mother that has 4 kids, quite young, all of them, Rebecca. So my advice is get your kids the F out of this now. Go to your publicist and tell them, you know what? Send a release. Kids should not be exposed to this. Start making real amends, Rebecca. We're sick of your bullshit PR spin. Spin, sugar. Oh, yeah, let me really go here. Let me really go there. Let me really sell my caca mimi story that, you know what? There's a lot more than meets the eye to you, Rebecca. And a lot of it is so MF tragic because, yes, your literal father, David Minkoff, who introduced you to everything you know. So if you have a problem, go speak to your daddy. If you have a problem, go speak to your mommy. We're advocating for you. So before you project on us that we're the ones with the problem, you are the one with the problem, Rebecca, because you're sitting right there doing OSA's bidding, doing the president's office bidding, doing the bidding of all the people that are not saving our world, contrary to your stupid ass belief that you really want to purport you have. Oh my God, I really believe I'm saving the world. You're a New Yorker, Rebecca. In what world are you a New Yorker, not stuck in a hotel, not a child anymore, and you still want to say that you have no idea what the truth is? Damn.
So we left town. We had a small beach cottage about an hour and 45 minutes away. We packed the
Oh, so she has a small beach cottage. Great, Rebecca. Great. Look how well Scientology worked out for you. Look how well, you know, that technology, right? Like technology that you and your brother implemented for to run your company, because wasn't your brother taking the courses to how to be an administrator and how to really be a successful business, just like L. Ron Hubbard said to be?
the car with like our go bag and some soup in cans. And we, again, it was the 2 weeks
Mhm.
and then it became
2 weeks to
4
stop the
months.
spread.
I think our final straw was we found out that all of our friends were in a pod without us because they didn't feel like we were following the rules enough, because I am
Oh.
not a rule follower.
You got
especially-
shamed.
And I
Oh, Rebecca now claims she's not a rule follower. And how are you a Scientologist and not a rule follower, Rebecca? Put that on your notes, you guys, of questions that need to be asked of Rebecca. In what world do you claim that you're not a rule follower, and yet everything in Scientology is a rule that you have to follow, isn't it? So which one is it? Do you follow rules or you follow nothing, Rebecca? Because, just like your Judaism, whatever, I'm a Jewish and at this, you can't have it both ways. To be credible, to maintain your credibility, you cannot pitch that same caca mimi story, because one of those two things is wrong. In Scientology, they call that an outpoint. In Scientology, they call that, put that on your notes, guys. This is what they call it in Scientology, okay? Are you familiar with this word, Rebecca? Contrary facts. Contrary facts is what you've been offering on the record. I'm not a rule follower, but everything L. Ron Hubbard said, I'm going to follow, because that's part of the technology. That's part of that applied religious philosophy. What the fuck do you think a philosophy is? Bunch of rules. Bunch of pitches on how you should do something. That's a philosophy, right? Now, L. Ron Hubbard is not a philosophy. So breaking news to you, L. Ron Hubbard is not a philosophy, because L. Ron Hubbard is a technology, Rebecca. So clear the word technology so you see how effed you are. Since technology allows for zero interpretation, as you know, keeping Scientology working and all that shit.
they slipped and I said, we're not part of the pod. And they're like, well, you're not wearing gloves when you go to the grocery store and you're not wiping everything down. And I was like, can I swear on this podcast?
Of course
I
you
was like,
can.
we're fucking out of here. I hate these people. So we went to
Isn't it great, guys, that Rebecca wants to swear? We're fucking out of here. I hate these people. Yeah, Rebecca. Gluts PR away. That's how the Scientology parents speak to their kids. So for all of you that are wondering, oh, maybe Serge is really hard on the parents, maybe, here's the evidence. Here's the evidence of how they speak, they use the F word. Anytime they really want to impinge is how they use it. So that's how they're speaking to kids. So if you guys are questioning, why is he so pressed asking about and saying all these things every day? Because why is no one else pressed? Why is no one else saying what needs to be said? Why? Why is everyone so concerned with all a bunch of bullshit that makes not a shred of sense, that who gives a literal F about altered importance, the epitome of, because that's what this entire community gets filled with. Altered importance. You go chase a squirrel faster than anyone's eyes can spin. This community will forget that there's kids stuck there. Not everybody. The people that know they're here for the kids, the people that get why we speak about this, they do it. And they don't have to be told. That's what's so great about true volunteers and true advocates. You don't have to convince a person of what is common sense. And the more advocates like that we get, you guys, the better off we will be to be able to deprogram Rebecca and tell her to get off this train that she's on. Because yes, this train is coming off the rails. Scientology sent her to be eaten alive by making herself a real housewife of New York, Rebecca. Did you never watch the show?
Florida, thank God.
You get to hang that over their head because, like, looking back, they definitely were on the
They
wrong
were the
side.
crazy ones, for sure.
So here's Rebecca telling you that, her friends thought that she wasn't following the rules of COVID. Never mind that inside of the hotels, Rebecca, inside of the Scientology hotels, guess what? The kids, they had to do a lot of cleaning. And grown-ass woman that you are, New Yorker, high socialite, real housewife of Bravo that you are, lucky you, Rebecca, that, you do live in your mansion, right? You're not a Scientology hotel. You're not under billing your contract. You got all manner of perks being a public. You've been enjoying being, cradled and canoodled because, you and the president's office say, oh, Rebecca Minkoff, very VIP, you guys really need to use her. We can really start getting her to, bring those female founders, we can start searching if there's any female founders that we should really introduce to Scientology because, Rebecca, we'll bird dog this shit. 10% anyone you bring for as long as they're paying us. FSM them. FSM them.
So we lived a very pandemic-free life in the great state of Florida.
Now, are you there full time?
Pandemic-free life in the great state of Florida. Rebecca broke the rules. She didn't give an F. She told her friends to go F themselves. They're getting the F out of there. Damn, okay.
Time now, or are you back in New York?
No, I split my time. So I'm in New York every other week. We spend our summers there. And
you have 4 kids, Rebecca. Your kids' mom day present to you was, my mom loves work. Here, Mom, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Here, my mom loves work, because that's how most of the Scientology mothers did it. They're so pressed to make donations at this stupid ass hotel. They're so pressed to go chase clout. They're so pressed to go get money, 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 because they're all obsessed with money. These people talk about money every other Did you buy the package? Did you get the course? Are you buying an intensive? Are you buying a course? Are you resigning? Are you paying for an OT3 package? Are you buying your objectives? Are you getting the Puriv? Are you buying an ethics cycle? They're pressed to go buy that. They're pressed. They want to. They literally can't wait to call their business manager like Rebecca has and tell the IRS to take off $100,000 off my tax bill because I'm about to blow it at the hotel in Florida. Where whatever it is that I do for $100,000 there really relieves my anxiety. Those are your words, Rebecca.
And
You're a New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Except then people are like, well, what hospital in New York were you born?
You're a New Yorker. Like, you're desperately trying to hold on to an identity, Rebecca, and it's giving, do your doubt condition already, and MF decide, are you a mom with 4 kids? Or are you someone that just needs to be, what is it that you're doing? Because that would be great for you to do a doubt condition right about now.
And I hate those people.
Yeah.
They're always trying to get you.
There's levels.
Always these people that are trying to get ya. No one's trying to get ya. No one's trying to get you nothing, Rebecca. We're serving you the facts. We're serving you what you need to start deprogramming yourself. This is a public service, volunteer work, free deprogramming for cult Scientology mothers. Listen to the facts. Stop projecting. Stop blaming your kids. Stop telling us that we're the ones with the problem that are telling you what the problem is. That's not how real life works, guys. Sorry to break your delusion, but somebody has to do it. And we're just about done with the bullshit, with all of you playing dumb, pretending it's complicated, pretending there's a million sides to a story. There is no million sides to the facts and the truth. And if you cannot digest it or see it, we don't give a fuck. We will still tell you what it is because we give a fuck, contrary to you guys not giving a fuck. It's really that simple. I mean, all this projection about, oh, you're the big suppressives. Are we? Because where the fuck are the balls to call any of this shit? As of the year 2025, everyone is still running around confused. Bravo TV aired this whole shit and no one clocked nothing with Scientology. Why? Okay, so let's all really talk about Blake Lively and Justin, right? Because 2 adults, grown-ass woman and man that they both are, megawatt stars with a million, lawyers at their literal fingertips. Like, these little babies from Hollywood are not the adults. Justin Baldani, Blake Lively, I don't give a fuck about adults having problems with adults. We don't have that luxury. The kids that grew up in Scientology at the hotels. You have problems as an adult, go fucking deal with that shit. Kids need intervention. Kids need people that can think, outside the motherfucking box. For one, given that, they're that fucked since no one gives a fuck about them. That's how fucked they are inside of the Scientology hotels. In case it's confusing, in case you don't know, in case you've been told by Mike Rinder that it was great and wonderful and they were saving our world, that man died lying with throat cancer because he didn't want to come clean. He didn't want to admit what they were doing at the hotels. Admit it. If you don't admit it, we're fucking bypassing you. That's what the fuck this is called. Scientology parents, write that on your fucking notes. This is a bypass. We're sick and tired of you all playing dumb as a collective, being enabled by the stupid-ass American media. Nobody knows how to question anybody. Nobody knows how to pull a string. Nobody knows how to do a follow-up question. No one knows how to connect a dot. So yeah, all the kids that are stuck right there as the ones that are in the literal thumbnail, right? Thumbnail. That's where we put the kids, in the thumbnail. Where the fuck did we get that thumbnail? Glad y'all asked from Scientology itself. We blocked those kids' faces off because Scientology puts that in their promotional materials as they send that to all the Scientologists and go, really come to the hotel because look how many kids are here right now that you could do a course with. Don't you want to twin with a kid? Don't you want to get a child auditor to audit you? Don't you want to do an ethics handling but with a minor? Because we got all of those. Right, Rebecca, or wrong? Are there underage kids in the Sea Org? Is your own brother, Max Minkoff, still in the Sea Org, Rebecca? Yes or no? How old was he when he was there? He's been stuck, isolated, being told, being sold garbage, unlike you that gets to parade and prounce around the real world. That's what's so fucked up about you, Rebecca. You get to prounce around the real world, parade around, live it up with the Housewives, and you're that much of a fake ass you know what. Your brother Max Minkoff's been stuck there since he was a child, being groomed, being told this is great, you're going to really save a planet, no access to the internet, no access to a telephone, no access to tell you nothing of what in the hell he's doing on a daily basis. Well, maybe you should start advocating for him if you actually give an F. Since you are apparently loaded and full of money and so successful and really fearless, show us the fearless that you're pitching in your book, because where's that fearlessness? I'm not seeing the fearlessness, Rebecca. I'm sorry. I'm clocking your literal bullshit title of your book. You're not being fearless. You're literally becoming an L. Ron Hubbard seller. And if you don't know that you're being used like that, Rebecca, check your Bravo performance. Again, these are the notes. You don't get to say, oh, I don't like the note. These are the notes, Rebecca. Start dealing with reality. Because you're a grown-ass woman.
So that society. What was going through your head? You have this business, and again, I was similar shoes, but such a different industry. You have this business that's successful. It's been around, at the time, let's call 15 years. And the pandemic issue, I think you said 70% of your business evaporated just from a professional, putting personal safety, health, and well-being aside. Like, what is going through your mind as a founder, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, when 70% of your customer base or revenue disappears?
So my brother, who was my co-founder at the time, we had a lot of very late night conversations of, do we just give up biting? Do we just call it quits? Like,
your brother, Uri. Another one that is doing absolutely zero advocacy for your own brother, Max Minkoff, who is stuck in the Sea Org serving a billion-year contract that, in our opinion and advocacy, Rebecca, he's been doomed. He's been effed with. He's been sold a bag of shit. And it's rich of you, public Scientologist, VIPs with the president's office that you all are, that you don't give an F about your brother, and he's stuck in the Sea Org, cut off from the world, mind you, unable to have a single critical thought for himself, something that you and Uri Minkoff have access to. So before you want to play victim, as you're very good at playing, save that shit. You and Uri are in the outside world, dealing with outside things, having full access to everything. And you don't want to wake up because why? Oh, because you benefit from Scientology. Got it. Okay, got it. Now it makes sense.
Like a lot of other companies are, because we know what's ahead of us. And if we're going to stick around, it is really hard. And he and I both felt like we owed it to the tiny team we had left. We were 60 pre-pandemic, 22 people.
You really owed it to your employees, Rebecca, really? Are you sure you really want to pretend that that's really who you owed it to and that's what you were doing everything for? Because you know what? Double check on that.
And he said, we owe it to that and 17 years of giving everything and the sacrifice we both made.
It's rich that you talk about sacrifice when you said that your said sacrifice, purportedly, according to whatever you pitched at that Bravo TV ad nauseum, your sacrifice was 100 million. It's what you said, right? Write that on your notes, you guys. Find out how many times Rebecca said she built a company that was $100 million. Literally, think this is what you were saying, 100 M, right, Rebecca? Oh yeah, $100 million. Oh yeah, Nordstrom rack, but $100 million. Oh yeah, blah, 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 $100 million, $100 million.
Just, if we're going to go down, let's go down in flames, and at least try.
Well, congratulations. You have gone down in flames. And you know what? It didn't come from a lack of trying. I don't know what in the world you're doing, saying what you're saying, when you know that you cannot afford to be saying what you're saying because you know that is not true, Rebecca. That's the problem. because you know that what you're saying is not factually true and can be contested and can be challenged. And you know that we're not challenging with delusional situations. We're literally just telling you what it is. You might not want to see it like that. It might be very inconvenient for you to realize it, but you know what? Your convenience is not our problem. Your convenience is not our problem. The problem is that you are exposing your own kids to this, Rebecca. So put that on your notes. Talk to your publicist about it. Talk to your crisis management team. Ask them if they can help you craft a statement that defends audits, ethics handlings, and disgusting grooming courses done at the Scientology hotels acceptable for kids. Try to pitch that today in this year 2025 and see that, given that you do have apparently very, very expensive crisis people really managing your crisis, check with them, imagine a PR person trying to, help you write something to clean this up. Imagine how stupid they would have to be. Because they don't know what happens at the hotels, right, Rebecca? And you're very good at telling everyone how helpful Scientology is, how amazing, how wonderful. Double check on that. Today, in present time, double check on that. Okay? So whatever you thought it was for whatever many decades you've been delusional to think that is, Rebecca, cut the Kool-Aid. You can cut the Kool-Aid. This is call this an intervention, a deprogramming intervention, a public deprogramming intervention, you guys. This is what it is.
Feeling helplessness during that time? What are we supposed to do?
I didn't feel helpless because I just went back.
She didn't feel helpless because she just applied her OT powers to the situation, right? And then helpless is very low on the tone scale. So why would I feel an emotion, although my business crashed by 70%? Damn, Rebecca, maybe you should have felt helpless. Literally, you're fearless in all the wrong things. You fearlessly went to the Real Housewives to become a Real Housewives, even though, that thing that you talk about in your book about the intuition part. Yeah, you should listen to that intuition, right? The Housewives was not your habitat. You did say that too, Rebecca. Credit when credit is due. Credit when credit is due for Rebecca, you guys, because she told us, it's just not my habitat. It wasn't your habitat. You shouldn't have been there. You couldn't afford the level of scrutiny you were going to come under. You just thought, I'm going to, as you said, going to show up myself there every day on every Tuesday in front of all these women that are just going to want to buy my bag. And you know what? No. That was a miscalculation.
To everything I knew, how did I build my business when I had nothing? And that is.
Yeah, how did you build your business when you had nothing, Rebecca? That would be really great to really understand in today's world. Not in that cacamimi narrative that you've figured out, really thought to plant and really thought to say, because again, if people don't know that what you're saying is BS, it's hard to contradict that, right? Because they didn't live that trajectory with you. They didn't see your rise and your fall. According to you, you haven't fallen. According to you, you're still very high up in the org board, in the cult. You are part of the celebrity center. You're part of the celebrity president's office. You and Yuri Minkoff are the darlings of the fashion world that Scientology needs out there so that they can go, look, we're not all crazy. Look at Rebecca. She's not crazy. She's great. She's wonderful. She's a Real Housewives of New York that did not stand to the level of scrutiny that was required, Rebecca. That's the problem.
It's the same mentality. And it became this very much grassroots, almost, calling every other female founder I knew. Can we partner? Can we do a giveaway? Can we promote on your list? I'll promote yours. Hey, you want to put...
See, every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day yeah, Rebecca is good at the hustle, you guys. L. Ron Hubbard told them that if they need to sell something, they need to go and promote, to get people to talk about you, get people to say your brand. So, and they're just these people will do call-in 15 hours straight, nonstop. Like they literally go from one name to the next name to the next name. Can you help me? Can you put this out? Can you, just like the Scientology people call people to get into the courtroom, that's the level of operation running at Rebecca's. So that's the technology of L. Ron Hubbard at play. That's why Rebecca says no. She didn't even have time to be depressed about the 70% fallout of her company. Because as soon as that happened, she had to go, I need to call everyone. I need to tell them to buy a bag ASAP. And
your inserts into my boxes, I'll put them into yours. Just any type of cross-pollination.
oh, cross-pollination. And if you guys didn't catch it, because I know it's going real fast, but she talked about female founders. She went to female founders. You know what Rebecca also has, aside from bags? A female founder collective thing. Okay. And this female founder collective thing is giving, like, where, she's got access to all manner of women, female founders that think that Rebecca Minkoff can help them. And you know what? Maybe she can. I don't know.
I also was thinking to myself, not everyone needs a bag right now. Where is anyone going? So how do I entertain you? How do I take your mind off things? So I started.
How do you entertain us, Rebecca? I mean, wasn't there a pandemic going on? Your business crashed 70%. Maybe people were not needing to be entertained. I don't know.
Started a happy hour, which I did for so many months. I was really happy to let that go.
Oh, guys, put that on your notes. Rebecca promoting happy hour. Rebecca, you're promoting alcohol consumption at a mass level every day during the pandemic. Damn, that's a good one, Rebecca. Does that go with, like, not drinking all the time, like it said on the Way to Happiness, or was that just a bullshit book just between us girls?
Oh, every night at 5:00, I brought on a guest. We entertained you on Instagram Live. And so for me, it was just about.
So every night at 5:00, you were getting people drunk at a happy hour. Got it.
Continuing to stay busy and continuing to put positivity out there. And that was.
See, you guys, putting positivity. See, Rebecca, the problem is put out realness. That's the problem. Who gives a fuck about positivity? You don't got a lot of things to be very positive about, Rebecca, because what's going on in those hotels to kids, it's as dark as it fucking gets. So guess what? You can be more thiety-weety. You can be more lacking the confront level to look into what an audit is to a child, what an ethics cycle is to a child, what a course is to a child. Think about your experience as a child there being forced to do those three things, Rebecca. Then think about the experience your brother Max, groomed also as a child to be an auditor, had. And think about the fact that your mother and David Minkoff dumped Max where? In the Sea Org. Take a look at that. Take a look at that part right there.
Was really helpful.
I would jump around here because you touched on the mentality of how you said, hey, I went back to just really kind of focusing on the things that built my business, the mentality behind that. Like, what was that, when you started this company at the time, 17 years ago?
For me, that was relationships, 6 degrees of separation. And
yeah, relationships that she got at the cult, because that is Scientology. Put that on your Post-it note. Scientology is a what? It's a wannabe Soho house, you guys. It's a wannabe social club. Oh yeah, pay for a membership. Oh no, the membership will be, free at first. And, we're going to really vet you. And and who sent you? Who recommended you? Who FSM'd you? Oh, Rebecca? Oh, Rebecca recommended you. Oh, okay, then come. No. If Rebecca's FSMing you, you can come. Oh, you also a celebrity? Oh, you also a fashion designer? Oh, you have your own company? Oh, you're part of the female founders? Oh, you make $3.5 million on your e-commerce website? Oh, we have a program that we can sell you that, could get your abilities expanded at a level that no one on earth has ever even known about. Would you be interested in writing that off of your taxes while you climb the ladder of an invisible bridge that leads to a higher level inside our cult? Yes or no? That's all they have to answer. Oh, you know what? I'm very interested in that. What type of perks come with this membership? By all means, tell me. Oh, look, this girl from, where'd you come from? Costa Rica? Yeah, she's just here. 16 years old, but you know what? She knew L. Ron Hubbard in another lifetime. We confirmed that in her last audit. She knew him from another lifetime, and that's why she's so young, and that's why she's, she recalled it. She recalled it, and she came back and she asked, can I join the Sea Org? I really want to be part of the solution for L. Ron Hubbard, because, he and I went way back at the Apollo, and, L. Ron Hubbard and I had an out to D, and, I was actually, kind of really doing like very out to D things at the ship with L. Ron Hubbard, but now I've done my conditions, and that's why I'm here to make up the damage. That's the type of cacamimi stories they share inside of the hotel.
Always asking. I think so many people get paralyzed by asking someone to do them a favor or help them somehow. And you have to get over that real quickly as an entrepreneur. Or
see, give it out to the Scientologists, you guys. They do not hesitate to ask for favors. So how do you think they infiltrated the LAPD? Rebecca Minkoff, thank you for, telling everyone how OSA works. Thank you for telling everyone the mentality, since you are all part of a cloning system, right? Called L. Ron Hubbard, that clones all of you to become Stepford wives on steroids on your very, very specific sort of way, you guys. This is not Stepford wives like the movie. This is the L. Ron Hubbard way. It's never been seen. It's never been shown. No one has tapped into it. Nobody knows it, because the only people that have access to that is people that are inside of these hotels. That's it.
frankly, if you're an employee, and I just was asking for favors and help and support all the time, from, hey, you're in LA, you know a lot of people. Can you host an event at your store or your house where I can bring bags and cheese and wine and
See? Calling in favors everywhere with bags, cheese and wine, that's the Scientology party, you guys, the beer and cheese party. So I don't know why Scientologists are obsessed with doing that. But again, I told you guys, what is Rebecca actually doing? Yes, she's going out there to sell bags, but what is she using these bags for? Oh, you like my bags? Oh, I make bags. Oh, you're having a problem? Oh, I want to be your friend. Oh, you're having a problem with your husband? Oh, let me take you to the Celebrity Center. They're going to do a marriage counseling. Remember when Leah Remini brought Lance Bass and his gay partner to Celebrity Center to do a marriage counseling? That's how they roll. They bring in more celebrities, and then they get what? More brownie points. Put that on your note. When celebrity Scientologists bring more celebrities to Celebrity Center, what do they get? Brownie points. You're upstat, you're great, you're wonderful. Whatever you do, L. Ron Hubbard says you can get away with murder, apparently. Literally, that's what he said in his books. So before you go, oh, he's exaggerating, go look it up. What the upstat protection is. It's very specific.
bring your friends over with cash, just all these little touches of just going a little bit outside of your comfort zone, sometimes a lot, to like ask someone to go beyond for you.
Yeah, because, in the real...
That's the thing, you guys. You're always asking people to go beyond for you, Rebecca, but that's the exploitative nature of your matrix.
Let's say we're like a lot of us, start generating business cold calling, right? And so yours is probably more...
Cold calling is what they do in Scientology hotels all day long, 24/7. People calling, like you guys saw. Call calling. Exhibit A of call calling, right?
I hope so. Anyway, just calling all OTs. I mean, clear in our Seattle. Things were going.
I know it sounds like shit, you guys, but that's the cold calling of Scientology. How many years ago did I leave this disgusting hotel matrix? Well, they're still cold calling. Imagine that they still have people there that are just like, call everybody. Like, you might just run into somebody that will forget how much they have lost their entire childhood, got stuck in Scientology hotels with literal self-admitted you-know-whats, And yeah, maybe I want to really come back, right? Maybe I just like gonna go, yeah, the thing I never agreed to do in the first place, maybe I really do want to be part of that disgusting, decrepit hotel. I do not think so.
In person, but you eventually realize, like, what's the worst gonna happen? They say no.
They say no.
Yeah, you overcome this almost like ingrained childhood fear of shame, like, oh, they're gonna think I'm weird or stupid, or because they're gonna make fun of me. You realize
That's the ingrained shame and fear that we all felt as kids in Scientology. We were disgusted. We didn't want to tell our friends that our parents were Scientologists. We know that we're weirdos. We know that we're disgusting. We didn't know how to fucking explain any of this shit. We were like, I remember lying in my school. I was like, oh no, I'm Catholic. I'm like, no, I don't want to tell them I'm, and they're like, well, where did you do your communion? And I'm like, oh no, I just did that like last year because I was always being moved anyway. So we didn't want to tell anybody in Mexico that you were a Scientologist. Are you kidding me? It was the most shameful, most embarrassing, most weird thing. The last thing you want to admit is that you were part of that shit that your parents were into.
most people, like, the worst thing they say is like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's kind of like a volume game at that point.
It is.
Yeah.
I call it, there's a magic ratio with anyone. I used to be a nerd and keep graphs. And I was like, how many editors do I have to reach out to get one reply? How many postcards?
You're not a nerd, Rebecca. See, you guys? See, oh, Rebecca's just like us, you guys. She's a nerd. You're a Scientologist. The graphs, that I need to call these many people. I need to utilize all these people. I need to commoditize all these people. I need to make all these people do something for me. That's Scientology. So nice of you to reframe it as a nerd. I mean, maybe you're a Scientology nerd. I mean, if there is even such a thing.
Literally, do I have to hand out to get one sale at the local boutique? And once I knew that ratio, it really puts you at a point of not being affected and waiting and being like, all right, I just got to get my number, and then it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, you guys? Rebecca, again, pitching Scientology. And what did she just pitch? Outflow equals inflow. That's what L. Ron Hubbard says. So just smear your shit as far and wide as you can, because you know what? By smearing it everywhere, something's gonna give. And Rebecca, like a robot machine, was just going through list of people she could call to just be like, hey, 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 hey. As soon as I get to 100 people that I ask, I get a yes. And they're trained to think that way because they're just always, again, hustling. They're always up to something. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not thinking for their family. They're not with their kids. They're living this game and this manipulation that they have to keep up with the Joneses from hell. The Scientology Joneses. That's a very specific type of Jones.
Yeah, because you can look at it, whether it's revenue or number of bags sold or in a different industry, number of buildings sold, and you can reverse engineer using that ratio all the way to the beginning of the sales waterfall, which is how many calls do I have to make or how many meetings do I have to go on. So very similar business, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, reverse engineer your crisis sanitizing. Oh yeah, I can really relate to you, Rebecca, because maybe it's just like a call center. Maybe it's like this. It's all reverse engineered Scientology, but that's going over your head because apparently, even though you got 307,000 views on this video with 0 comments and 5,700 likes, no one has literally clocked your shit. I mean, you guys, literally, in what world can it happen that you have a video with this many views? 307,000 views, 5,700 likes, 0 comments.
So I want to kind of walk through how you got to that place of starting that business, starting with childhood. You were born in California, but like grew up in Florida. Yeah.
Born and raised in San Diego till I was 10. And then we moved.
We're going for the full shebang of Becky Minkoff, you guys. So be ready to really know who she is. We're going to get it straight out of the horse's mouth.
Moved to Florida.
What was the reason for moving?
My dad.
Thanks to you, David Minkoff, that your daughter was moved across state lines to Florida, where, we all know what happened when you moved to Florida.
That wanted a sabbatical where he thought he was going to have 6 months off. And
oh, you guys, Dr. Minkoff, Rebecca's daddy, moved to Florida because he thought he was going to get a sabbatical. Oh. Not great. My parents kind of sold me that type of same shit. We were told, oh, don't you want to go on a 3-month sabbatical to Florida, to Disney World, to Disneyland? Disney World, because Epcot Center in Orlando, and you're going to have a great time, and you're going to be so close to Disney World. Aren't you going to be so happy there? Yeah, we're not going back to Mexico. Oh, yeah, and you're not going back to school. Oh, yeah, and, you need to go save our world. So go do the disgusting grooming courses. Start doing them and start liking it, because you're not going to get schooling, and your life is completely upended, and you're literally 12 and being told that you need to be an auditor by your mother and your father. So before you go, oh, but the Scientology parents didn't know. Did they not know? Who wants to keep claiming that the Scientology parents had no idea? Because that would be really great to start understanding who is trying to make that case. That false case, that completely inaccurate, non-factual, non-reality case that's been made over and over, but the Scientology people didn't know. They're such abused people. Not everyone is an abused people. That's why you had a whole onslaught of the people at the very top of the pyramid, the ones that were committing the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst, sickening abuse. And imagine they could have redeemed themselves. They could have come forward with the receipts. They could have been leading what needs to be said about the kids. And yet they're all shutting the F up, either, getting paid by the cult to shut the F up, or, intentionally just sabotaging the story on every opportunity they get, because nobody wants to come to this conversation ever. Everyone's too uncomfortable. Oh, no, we don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about, once upon a time when, COB came here, and once upon a time COB came here, and who gives a fuck about COB? Who literally gives a fuck?
Then we went back to California for a visit. My brother's friends were of the age where they were starting to get into drugs and things in that San Diego scene. Were not good. And where we were was a very...
the San Diego scene and the drugs. Imagine that, Max Minkoff's life could have been saved at not getting stuck inside of a hotel for the rest of his life if some surfer would have just given him some LSD. Imagine that the kids, and I always remember this, you guys, I was envious of some of my underage friends that at the time I knew they had done LSD, and then everybody was like, oh no, they've done LSD, they're not qualified, they can never be in the Sea Org, they can don't talk to them. Remember, if you kind of qualified, you'd have vultures around you at all times. Oh, you just came out of course, because they gave you 15-minute breaks to go get like a little drink or something. So you're just like, okay, 15-minute breaks from doing the disgusting grooming course. So then you're like, okay, running downstairs to get something to drink or whatever. Well, there's the recruiters. Oh, you want to come to us at 6:00? We want to talk to you. We want to tell you how you're going to save our world. No, I don't want to talk to you. No, well, we need to talk to you. We really need to talk to you. There's something very important. There's a new program coming out, and there's a lot of great things that are happening that we really need to tell you about. And you're just like, no, I don't want to talk to you. They didn't take no for an answer. And to make matters worse, when you would run away from them, your parents would be like, oh, why are you running away from the Sea Org members? You're disrespecting them. Bunch of pathetic, disgusting, deadbeat mothers and fathers. The Scientology parents, literally disgusting. Good luck literally trying to make a case that you were all about the ethics. Because you know what? If anything's clear, is that none of you have a shred of a literal clue what ethics actually means. And in order for you to get the right education, and instead of saying, oh, the law is so disgusting and the law is so this, go read the law. Because that's the ethics that you are all missing. So start reading the law. And you know what? Easy. Just grab ChatGPT and start asking law questions to ChatGPT. Now it's in your literal fucking hands. You too, Rebecca Minkoff, start typing in ChatGPT. If a child can be locked in a hotel without able to leave said hotel, if your parents said, oh yeah, that's totally fine and great and wonderful, and I completely consent to that, because that's the type of stuff that you need to start clarifying on the public record. Real Housewives of New York that you are. You put yourself in that position. No one did this to you. You did this to yourself. So now start providing the receipts, start pushing back, start clarifying the record. The record is what needs to be clarified. That's how the facts get exposed, by actually making you and your publicity team that's sending you to all this cacamimi podcasts of people that don't know how to ask you any questions, because
You call it place with
fleece them. In 2 seconds, you fleece them with cacamimi stories. It's unbelievable.
old people, and that was it. There was no like bad scene. And so my dad was like, actually, we're going to stay here because I can retain your innocence for a lot longer.
So that was the driver, was putting 2 kids?
Three.
3 kids, putting his 3 kids in kind of a community where he felt you wouldn't be as exposed to those types of things.
Correct.
David Minkoff, the infamous David Minkoff, Lisa McPherson's doctor, the doctor of the other civil pending lawsuit, Rebecca. I mean, yeah, that's not being criminally investigated. Lord knows what type of safe pointing the goddamn Clearwater and the Tampa Bay Times are under. Oh, how times have changed. Oh, how decades of more abuse, more dysfunction, more chaos, more kids exposed to disgusting things in the Scientology hotels make the people in Clearwater relax more. Imagine being the Tampa Bay Times. Imagine being the Clearwater Police Department. The stain of all of the corruption of Scientology is on your hands. The blood of all the kids that have landed themselves on a billion-year contract that you host inside of your disgusting cold water city. Because that's what the petition needs to get started. Change the name of Clearwater to Cold Water. That's the name of that city. Cold Water. C-U-L-T, water. That's what's in the water of that disgusting, dirty, corrupt city from hell, where hundreds of thousands of kids have been brought in worldwide to the Fort Harrison Hotel to be, including but not limited to, enslaved under a false, ridiculous billion-year contract that everyone knows is bullshit, yet everyone pretends couldn't be more valid and religious of all things. In what world is a contract that a child signs a religious document? Tell your crisis PR people to start typing that as well, Rebecca, because that would be great to start getting that explained. How are kids signing billion-year contracts?
And they were not. I was, but not too bad. I behaved myself.
So how, you were 10, you said?
Yeah.
Was that tough, the move?
Awful. It was for the very long time and a lot of hours in therapy.
Yeah.
That
Therapy, Rebecca. Is that the type of therapy where you go get your anxieties relieved? Because again, here you are with, oh yeah, I just went to therapy. I'm so relatable. You're saying here that at 10 years old, you hated that your parents were moving you, Rebecca. Well, now we're getting to the truth. Now we get that you're actually, saying something that is not a cacamimi story.
was a shift in my life that hurt and felt like you took something from me, and I had a path and a future and a vision, and it was gone. And
So at 10 years old, Rebecca feels that her path, her future, and her vision were obliterated. So put that on your notes, you guys. That's what happened. But then apparently Scientology really handled her on that, because she had a lot of therapy on that. Because she hated being moved from San Diego to Florida. Gee, I wonder why, Rebecca. How much was Scientology part of your life before you moved from San Diego to cold water? Really ask yourself that question in a mirror, so you can start advocating for your own child that deserved to be protected, Rebecca. You didn't deserve to be transferred from San Diego, where your life was going okay, where your parents came up with a cacamimi story that, oh yeah, there's a lot of drugs here, you guys. Let's really move to Florida to really, what? Expose you Uri and Max to the disgusting grooming courses, to the audits, to the Scientology, full-blown disgusting hotel cult. So makes sense that you hated moving to Florida. That part of your life should actually make sense. You haven't processed why, and you've been gaslighting yourself in those therapies that you didn't do. You mean audits. You mean audits where you were told, do you have any upsets as a child? Oh yeah, my parents moved me from San Diego where I had all my friends and I had a vision, exactly what you just said here. And then they moved me all of a sudden and I'm in Florida and I'm with a bunch of weirdos. I'm going to a hotel every day. I don't know what in the hell is going on, but I'm supposed to like it a lot and my life sucked. But I guess it was all my fault because I guess I was just restimulated and I guess it was just my bank. Okay, great. Your needle is floating. Good. Done with that. Move on. That's how the audits are done. That's how Rebecca's being handled. That's how she's being treated. That's what is happening in her therapy. So for all of you that but it's very mysterious what they do in the therapies. It's not mysterious. It's not mysterious whatsoever. It's all written by L. Ron Hubbard, what to do. If a person has an upset about something, float it away and then be over it, get over it, never talk about it again. That's how it is at the hotels.
And I think it was done in 2 phases where it was we're just here for 6 months. And then I was had a calendar and checking the days off. And on the last day, he's like, oh no, we're going to stay. As if
mismanaged expectations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's this guy, you guys. Oh yeah, mismanaged expectations. He's trying so hard to relate. Did you get the part where you are talking to a girl that grew up in a cult? Imagine being the interviewer of a kid that grew up in a cult and you just casually say, oh yeah, you just had mismanaged expectations as a child. Did you get the part where our child were, infantilized? And they really thought that whatever a convicted felon wrote down on a piece of paper was something to really take serious. You have no idea how serious.
That's not good. Yeah, I moved a lot as a kid, and I don't know if it's a gender thing. It was just tough. Some things are hard, but my sister it was tougher on her. It felt like.
Yeah.
So
we moved 7 times during the pandemic to the point where my 7-year-old was like.
Not him relating to Rebecca because you moved a lot in your life, dude. Again, you didn't grow up in a cult. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for us. I'm sorry for us that grew up in a cult. You didn't. Trust me. You don't want to be born in a cult. You wouldn't wish that on your worst literal enemy.
Is this a new hotel? Are we at a new hotel? And I was like, no, this is just
This part sickens me, you guys. Rebecca has a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old. And they moved 7 times during the pandemic. Is this a new hotel? It just, again, makes me think were they just being moved around the Scientology hotels? What the hell were these kids getting exposed to exactly? They need advocacy, Rebecca. I'm sorry. Your kids need advocacy. Every single Scientology kid needs advocacy. Every single one of you needs to realize how stupid you are to be following the words of a convicted felon. That's a ChatGPT away for you to factually check that. Okay, tell your crisis management PR team to get ChatGPT downloaded on their phone and ask ChatGPT, was L. Ron Hubbard a convicted felon? Yes or no? When you find that answer, then see how you answer the rest of your life in front of a mirror. Again, another deprogramming tip for you. And for any other Scientology mom that wants to defend anything, there's nothing left to defend. Your sham is out. The cat is out of the bag. It scratched your eyeballs. You cannot gaslight us. You cannot delude us. You cannot tell us cacamimi stories. Nothing is going to work going forward. Literally going forward, nothing is going to work. Nothing. Except get the goddamn kids out of the goddamn hotels. That's it. That's literally all that needs to work right now.
It's another house rat.
Yeah.
So
I moved from LA to Nashville when my oldest was 7. There wasn't a scientific approach to it, but I was like, hey, I feel like 7, 8's the cutoff where you can still sell them on how it's magical, you know? But once you get 10, 11, 12, because I moved at those ages too, I think the gravity of the situation is the kids are aware and it hits. So what was your childhood like other than the move?
Idyllic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, breaking news. Breaking news. Idealic. Rebecca, you had an idyllic childhood. Wow. Idyllic? I mean, you guys, idyllic childhood. Have you ever? What is the definition? The definition of the word idyllic. I mean, maybe with my Spanish, my Italian, and my Scientologies, like this is not going to make, maybe I don't know what idyllic is, you guys. Idyllic. Write this on your notes, everybody, because Rebecca just broke the news that she had an idyllic childhood in Scientology. Adjective. Describes something that is extremely peaceful, picturesque, and perfect, often in a way that is idealized or romanticized. Well, you know what? I think that part of the definition is kind of applying here, right, Rebecca? You're romanticizing, you're idealizing. It's commonly used to refer to settings, experiences, or lifestyles that are free from trouble or disturbance. I mean, imagine trying to make the case that there were no troubles or disturbances when you got audits, ethics handled, or put to do discussing grooming courses, Rebecca. Because right there in those three things that Scientology is, good luck you trying to describe that as idyllic. This is why your credibility is utterly shredded. You're lying, you're lying, and you're lying, and you're lying more. Idyllic childhood. Come on, you guys. Literally, I'm sorry, but idyllic.
We were in like a lower middle class neighborhood in San Diego, and I know this sounds like, what era was this? But you could go outside and play without being worried, about your kid's safety. And there was just an innocent.
No, Rebecca. It's called your Scientology parents didn't give an F about you. Didn't give an F what happened to you. And you thought that you could just go outside and no one is going to do anything to you. That's exactly how my parents acted. You know what it was? It was the fact that we were being considered miniature adults. Imagine if you just decided to really go with that. And then all of a sudden you're just like, well, go out and play. I mean, whatever, you're an adult, you're going to figure it out. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to pull anything in because your ethics are in. And if your ethics are in and you didn't commit any withholds, then you should have no motivators. So if you have no motivators due to the technology of L. Hubbard, that you have no motivators, then you have nothing to worry about because you're never going to roll a coaster because you're not PTS, because you're not under any suppressive. So what's there to fear after all of that? That's the reasoning behind a child just being left there to his own devices. Oh yeah, he's got no suppressants in his life. Nothing could go wrong.
To my childhood that I wish my kids had today, where you're not worrying about the things we're worrying about as parents.
You think that's because technology or the actual evolution and civility in our country?
Technology, yeah. That's due to the technology of L. Hubbard. Never mind that that's not what you were meant to be asking because you have no idea who you are interviewing. But, we digress.
Both, I
think both.
Yeah.
I think that it's easier to find where people are. It's easier for kids to go down holes you don't want them to go down. And then you're.
It's easier for kids to go down holes you don't want them to go on. It's easier. Write that on your notes, you guys, please. Quote from Rebecca Minkoff. It is easier for kids to go down holes you don't want them to go on. What in the literal living hole are your kids going on? All the dangers that were present when you were inside of those Scientology hotels as a child, Rebecca, are now manifesting themselves in whatever limited or full exposure you have given your own kids to Scientology. Just an FYI.
You're not in these safe neighborhoods anymore. And I don't know.
Not to get off, how much do you think of that was, what do you call it? Ignorance is bliss. There's these statistics that suggest like real violent crime, especially against children, is actually significantly lower today than it was for you and I in the 80s and 90s. I grew up in LA in the 80s and 90s, so not that different than San Diego. But our parents didn't have the ability to access every single article that's targeted to the mom who clicks on it because it's the kid who's kidnapped. And and so how much of that do you think is just
I
awareness?
think it has a huge.
It's incredible to have the level of entitlement when your entire childhood was not a crime scene for you to sit there and, you know, pitch statistics, right? Because we're talking about this exact point. Like, kids in Scientology hotels are exactly in the same condition we were in. So as much as they want to say, oh yeah, kids were safe then, kids were safe now, there's a statistic that says this, there's a statistic that says that. You know what you don't give a fuck about when you are a child victim of a criminal felony perpetrated against you? The type of statistics out there. That I can tell you for sure.
Huge part of it. You know, like a merchant of chaos, right? The media is like a merchant selling chaos.
Really bad.
Put that on your notes, you guys. Rebecca Minkoff repeating the rhetoric of convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard. The media is the merchant of chaos. The media's been really nice to you, Rebecca. The weeklies have been very nice to you, Rebecca. In Touch, Us Weekly, and what is it? Oh yeah, Page 6. They've been extremely nice. I would almost say that, you know, for whatever it's worth that you pitched, you were worth this. Were you ever gonna get to that if you didn't have the weeklies at your fingertips and disposal? Becky, who did you save point at the weeklies? Who did you payola at the weeklies to push your bags? Who did you get a free bag? Who did you, you know, cut them on a deal? What publicist helped you do this? Payola. Payola, right?
And you will see those things and it will change your perspective. Like, you know, my kids want to go down to the dock where we live and fish. And I'm like, there's weirdos there. You can't go alone.
I read an article about a kid who.
Your kids want to go to the dock and fish. There's weirdos there. And what about when they want to go inside a Florida hotel that is called the Fort Harrison Hotel? Is there weirdos there, Rebecca, or is there just OTs, according to you? Oh, no, everyone here's an OT. Do you know what comes up on OT eligibility forms, Rebecca? Do you know how many of those men and some women, believe it or not, don't think that it's just the men, were self-admitted, you know literally what? Do you know that every single self-admitted, you know literally what? It's cocooned in there. Did you know that? Did you know that they're cradled and canoodled like they're little babies? Like rockabye baby, let's really get you in session. Let's really make sure that you're fed. Let's really make sure that you know, do the L. Ron Hubbard technology so you find your confusion before you had the evil purpose to go. This was the evil purpose, Rebecca. Type of shit they were telling us. Type of shit that they're telling your brother, Max Minkoff. Free Max Minkoff is the hashtag that we're starting because he's another kid just like me that was being trained to be an auditor, being trained to do this bullshit. And you know what? He hasn't seen the outside of the walls of a Scientology hotel or commercial building for as long as they've kept them asphyxiated up to his neck and ears with garbage bullshit stuff, Rebecca. But this is the evil purpose. To go essay a kid. Was there a confusion that occurred just before you had the purpose to go essay a kid? When was the first moment of that confusion? So before all of you go, oh, but they must really handle the ethics of the self-admitted you-know-whats. Yeah, they handled it by telling them that they were just a little confused, because that's what L. Ron Hubbard, the degenerate of degenerates, said it was. That all these people are so stupid that, oh no, that's what it says on the technology, you guys. It must be really true because L. Ron Hubbard really did say it here. It's just a confusion. It just happened because they were confused. Y'all were not confused. Y'all were depraved. Y'all were self-righteous. Y'all haven't been checked because you never want to be told no, because you never want to hear that word, because everything has to be done in the terms of whatever the convicted felon pitched for you to be doing, like a complete bumbling, blind idiot.
Who went swimming in some fresh water and got a brain-eating amoeba,
Yeah,
like,
same.
or slipped and fell and hit his head and went into a coma. So my wife's social media or like article is like, they've tagged her. They know that she's going to click on it.
Yes.
And so I always wonder, just kind of like a, philosophical question. It seems like statistically it actually is safer today, but in terms of how you and I feel as parents, does not feel that way.
Not at all.
Yeah, those media companies they're good.
They're really good.
They're good. If you could target people who are buying bags as efficiently as they do, who can click on who have kids, like
I'd be a millionaire.
You be a millionaire? Rebecca, Uri and you have pitched yourselves as the woman who embraced technology to expand her business. Have you not been doing those targeted ads? Did you not say in the Housewives that this is what you were doing in your brand? So why would you be a millionaire if you could target people like that with bags, which you've done? Or have you never used the technology? Which one is it? Which one is it? You be a millionaire. So every time that Bryn told you were a Nordstrom rack and you said, I made $100 million, what was that? You didn't make them? Then who made them? Start typing that answer. Who made them if you're not a millionaire? Because if only you could have targeted women with bags. That's what you were doing, Rebecca. When Instagram was working, when all that shit was working, until you started to become more and more irrelevant. And then, yeah, I'm sure that, your bestie Westie, Danny Masterson, getting convicted didn't help your cause. Female empowerment that you're all about. Imagine running the female empowerment and your bestie's that, and there's photographs of you and Ashton Kutcher as you're pregnant next to him. Think about that. Think about that. Start explaining those photos. How much do you know Ashton? Why was he, hanging with P. Diddy so much? Why were there such great besties? How much did Ashton help you get those bags wear? And what did that cost you really?
Oh, you'd be done. Yeah, that'd be great. So idyllic childhood. Did you always have
the press tour where they just regurgitate whatever you say back to you? Isn't that great, you guys? Give it up to OSA. Give it up to OSA. They're so good at selecting who is such a completely teety-weety. That's what they called them. Teety-weety. Like everything is sweetness and light. Oh, everything is great. Oh, you're just like me. Oh, okay. Well, what is there? Yeah, okay. Everything is wonderful.
Have a kind of a lean, like were you always interested or lean into design? Was that something that, if I asked your parents, hey, was she always designing clothes? Was that something that was present in you from the moment you were born? Or is that something?
From the present we were born, we were being indoctrinated with the words of a convicted felon. You didn't have emotions, you had a tone scale. You didn't have a brain, you had a reactive mind. You were not a body, you had a thetan. Disassociative AF terms. So who's not getting that memo yet? Who's not getting it? Who's not understanding that that's the type of disassociative, indefensible words that are being groomed onto kids? This is called grooming. Grooming, not training. That's what they were calling it at the hotel. Oh, go get your training. What they meant is go get groomed. Oh, go get your audit. What they meant is you got groomed and then you got the thing that they wanted you to be getting. Go get your ethics handled. Grooming. So again, this man, Kyle, whatever his name
And
is,
it came later.
I wouldn't say the moment I was born, but from a very young age, I was an entrepreneur and I was always trying to make something.
Rebecca Minkoff, adult in a small body that she always was from the moment she was born. She was not an entrepreneur, but as a child, Scientology kid that she is. Okay, so make sure you're keeping track of that story.
And sell something. So the rule in my house was my mom wouldn't buy it for me, what the item I wanted, but she'd buy me the supplies to make it.
Okay.
So she was selling products for Amway, if you've heard of Amway.
Yeah.
Here you go, you guys. All of these Scientology people, before they got to the cult, before they networked with celebrities to put things out there to become multimillionaires, before they were tapped by the cult to get pushed up that ladder, to be used as recruitment plants and assets, to soften their image, to make themselves look like they're successful, to pitch Rebecca as a woman that other mothers that are out there might want to look up to.
Out of our garage. And then she was also selling other things at the San Diego.
They're coming from this multi-level marketing, because that is Scientology. At the end of the day, it's like multi-level marketing on steroids. It's like Herbalife on steroids. Because again, Herbalife is not asking the Herbalife parents to donate their kids to Herbalife. Scientology does demand that. And Sue Minkoff and David Minkoff gave them Max Minkoff.
Diego flea market. And I was like, I want my table. I want a booth. I'm going to sell puffy paint sweatshirts and jewelry that I make. And no one bought anything, but all week.
8 years old selling things at the flea market. It's giving exploitative, Rebecca. It's giving you have an 8-year-old. It's giving you haven't learned anything. It's giving you haven't self-reflected. It's giving you don't give an F. That's the problem. You have no self-awareness because you don't go to actual therapy. You outsource your therapy to a hotel. A hotel. Celebrity Center. I need to be handled. I just PR'd flapped. I just need a correction list because I just did a Housewives episode and I just, said the wrong things that are going to flap, that I know I'm going to get in a lot of ethics trouble about. That's what this is giving right now.
I had so much fun making all that stuff and getting it ready. And that started as, I remember, like 7.
And that's great and all, Rebecca, that you had so much fun in your idyllic childhood. Let's just give you that benefit of the doubt, guys, right? Like, again, it's like, why the F is an 8-year-old selling something with your own booth and your own setup? I mean, your own words, Rebecca. We're not putting words in your literal mouth. You're pitching this as you decided you needed your own booth, your own thing. I'm sorry, but that just sounds weird. It's what it calls an outpoint in Scientology, something that doesn't make sense. Like an 8-year-old should not have a booth. If I see an 8-year-old at the Melrose flea market, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Maybe maybe you're helping your mom with the booth and you were doing something, but it's giving that your mom was selling the Dianetic books at those flea markets. It's giving that, perhaps you were embarrassed as fuck that she was doing that. Just like we felt embarrassed as fuck whenever our parents were doing that. So maybe that's why you needed your own booth. I mean, type that up and see if that can clarify that. 8-year-old, your own booth selling stuff because you're a miniature adult, because you're just confirming everything we've been saying about the kids being treated as adults by the Scientologists. And this is a woman that loves Scientology, has an idyllic childhood. Idyllic. Like, she really went there.
7, 8 years old, I would do that.
So the entrepreneurship was in you at a young age, the design element, 7 or 8. So your mom was also, it sounds like, what we describe as an entrepreneur?
Yes. She probably wouldn't have called herself one then, but she started many businesses and still has many today.
And what did you...
Sue Minkoff, you've been at this for a very long time, recruiting athletes to the hotel. That was your funnel, wasn't it? Pretending to be the Jewish Scientology mother that really wants to help promote running. If people knew that you gave your own son to these people, I mean, imagine in what world you can justify that as a mother.
What did your dad do?
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor, so the opposite of the entrepreneur. Like,
Yes.
you go
Well,
become a
until
doctor.
later on, then he became an entrepreneur
I gotcha.
doctor.
Okay.
Write that on your notes, you guys. Entrepreneur doctor. Maybe that's what's wrong. Maybe you just literally told us everything we needed to know about your dad's case, Rebecca, because, you know, if he's such an entrepreneur doctor, it's giving like, aren't entrepreneurs supposed to be capitalistic? Aren't entrepreneurs supposed to be like, gee, there's not enough return on investment if I do this strategy here, let me switch. Aren't doctors supposed to be there for the patient? I mean, yeah, sure, make money. The business of having a patient already makes you money. But no, your little David Minkoff daddy wanted to be very entrepreneurial, wanted to really like come up with what? Things that make him money? Imagine the type of info that you're putting out there for, you know, your father to start facing in the civil lawsuit. So David Minkoff, are you a doctor and an entrepreneur? Do those ever mix? Do you ever ask a patient about symptoms and, you know, refer them to $20,000 treatments that they really should be getting from you? Or nah?
Okay.
Yes.
And so when in your childhood or growing up, and it sounds like you were in Florida, did you have that moment, that epiphany, like, I want to go into design?
When in the epiphany that, I mean, this guy is so lost, you guys. I mean, he sounds like such a nice guy. Like, again, you cannot understand us, Kyle, because you're too soft. Yep. Sucks to be us, right? Like, you would never get this. Trust me. Like, you don't even try. It's okay.
I probably had it when I was 16. I was part of this dance department within high school where your focus, you had no electives, it was just dance. But they were like, you're too tall, your chest is too big, you're never going to make it. So I went to the costume department and I'd already been interested in sewing design. I made my bat mitzvah dress and I was.
Oh, you made your bat mitzvah dress, Rebecca. Not you telling us that you're very Jewish. Not you just dropping that in to, you know, pump up your whole identity crisis that you're having there because you don't want people to just think of you as what we're exposing you, as we know you, as we were there at the hotel at the same exact time as you, as your mother, as your father were really there in the courtrooms with us, as your brother was there in the courtroom with us, as your entire family, Rebecca. We all know you. Like, we were there. We were there exactly at the same point. Except that some of us have deprogrammed. That's it. That's literally all it is. So we're giving you this, doing you this favor, prying your eyes open. If that's what it takes, Rebecca, then you know what? It is what it is, right?
I was making all my own clothing. I was very skinny as a child and bullied for it.
And then also this whole thing about you going to Florida. Where did you really go to school in Florida, Rebecca? Can you give us a name? Because this whole art performance high school that you're talking about, like, what was the name? Did you go to any Scientology schools? Because I think you did, right? But for your public persona story, you could easily go performing arts high school in Clearwater. I mean, guys, do a little Google research and see if any kind of performing arts high schools really come out of Clearwater where they're doing like some sort of really advanced dance program that Rebecca was being told she was too big, too broad. Literally.
Right. And so the fact that I could tailor my own clothing and go to a thrift store and make something for myself was really empowering. And I remember sitting in the sewing department instead of being on stage, being like, I do love this. Like, I love dance more, but I love this. And I'm really passionate about it. So if I can't do that, this is the next second best.
Well, no wonder you said you had such an idyllic childhood, Rebecca, because again, like you were doing school, you were out there, being a normal kid, whatever that meant for you. We would still argue that you were exposed to a lot of shit, but some of us couldn't dance. Some of us couldn't go to high school, Rebecca. Some of us were strapped, bounded to a contract that we were forced to sign starting at age 12. So when you see that we're calling out some shit for what it was, do not get pressed. Do not project back to us. Understand what in the hell is being said. Digest that in your head and take a look if there's any 12-year-olds that you know. I mean, you have a 13-year-old kid right now, Rebecca. Think about that. Think about that. Are you really going to expose that 13-year-old? Are you really going to make him an auditor? Are you really going to sit him in a courtroom and give him a little teddy doll to go, oh yeah, just ask, have you ever done something sexually perverted to an apple? Because that's how they start you guys. For the grooming, they say, oh, you can say everything, but everything is an apple. That's the drill. That's the grooming drill. Here's your teddy bear, and here's a scenario. This is a drill. This is all fake. But the question, have you ever done something sexually perverted to an apple, is what they're telling you to be asking the teddy bear. So is that safe, Rebecca? Because you don't let your kids go to fish, but you let them go to those courtrooms to get asked that, to get groomed with teddy bears like that. You're 13-year-old, a year older than when I was when I started getting signed out for the Sea Org, because that's what you're being called out for, just so you know. And you have the exhibit A of what a 13-year-old looks like, sounds like, is like, Rebecca, right in front of you. So shave off a year from him and then see, oh yeah, I could see why you're pressed about this. I could see why you're sounding the alarm so that other kids like mine don't end up in audits. Doesn't matter that you're my brother that I love so much is an auditor. Get him to stop auditing ASAP, Rebecca. Fucking sap. Because imagine if Max Minkoff is there, and imagine if he's being now made to audit kids, you guys. I mean, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. All these Sea Org members that are literally bound, cut out from the entire world. They don't have any information. They don't have any way to know anything. They only get run on the same goddamn bullshit week to week without a shred of freedom, without a shred of knowing. They don't have a choice. They cannot push back. Very different from you, Rebecca. Again, glad that Scientology worked out so great from you. A lot of people that were in Scientology don't have that same opinion.
And then I had my moment where I had to make a decision, and I made it. And then, I said, okay, New York is where it is. And I got to move there and work for a designer.
Not a lot of body positivity when you were growing up where...
The dance world, it still shocks me to this day. Like, I took my daughter to see the Nutcracker.
Body positivity, we were not bodies. That's what we were told. So if you didn't get the memo, Kyle, that's what kids in Scientology get told. You're not a body.
In New York City. And I was like, wow, DEI has not hit this part of the world yet. Like, it is all.
And here's Rebecca making a stupid point about how, the ballet in New York, the Nutcracker that she went to go see, there's no DEI. Got it.
All white women with perfect bodies, white blonde women with perfect bodies. And when is ballet going to crack?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
when is your Scientology scam going to crack? Because that's a better question, to be honest. Since you're so pressed about DEI hires at the ballet, you know what? Go look at your hotel. Because in your hotel, they don't discriminate. You're right. In your hotel, they'll grab any child that actually qualifies. So in what world are you here pressed with judgment about the ballet in New York and the way they run things, which I'm sure could be pretty fucked up. But then imagine what the hell is going on in your cult that you defended ad nauseum on Bravo, Rebecca, that you said was wonderful, amazing, helps you so much, and your anxiety gets relieved when you go to the hotels. So when you see a 12-year-old making a bed and being a literal maid, when you go book a hotel room stay at the Clearwater Hotel, Florida, Fort Harrison, Rebecca, what happens then? Do you get pressed and go, well, when is flag gonna crack and stop bringing underage kids into the Sea Org? Because you know what? There's no there's none of you questioning yourself about that, right? You don't question yourself about the kids that are stuck in the Sea Org because you think that they belong there, because you think that they signed the billion contract, because just like your brother, you think that other kids that got snared and scammed, that didn't have your luck, your privilege to not have been stuck inside the Sea Org. You never did LSD, and yet you never ended up in the Sea Org. You did a stint at the, Celebrity Park Avenue Center, right? When you were climbing your way into the, New York social scene. Got it.
Renee Marino, who's Broadway, and she was kind of going through some of her stories of what I'll describe as the judgment, and it's the one place I would say it is the one industry where, body positivity and sensitivity doesn't seem just like, nope, you're too big, you're too small, you're too this, you're too that. And because I was asking her, like, how do you deal with it? She's like, you just do. Like, it's just,
you almost have to become numb to it in a way.
Turn it off. Like, it's not personal. They're not judging me, or it's just like, for this role, my figure isn't fit for this role. I was like, well, that's one way to look at it,
Yeah. I mean, even when we cast models, if the clothing doesn't look good on them, it's nothing that's wrong with them, but whatever we're going for, if it doesn't happen.
So according to Rebecca, you guys, when others do it, she has a problem with it. When she does it, then it's okay. Oh, it's not you. It's not you. It's not you. Isn't that what all of these people that are really looking for this, that are really looking for that would be saying, Rebecca? I mean, really ask yourself that question. I mean, again, you're the one that are really wanting to put on blast the New York Ballet. That's my point, right? Like, that's my point. Like, you're going to sit here and act in sense about the DEI hires at the New York City Ballet. But meanwhile, underage kids can land themselves in a Scientology hotel and you have zero problem with that. How does that work in your head?
Have that it's nothing against them. It's just we have to find the one that it hangs right or it drapes correctly.
Yeah.
So
yes, they do that.
It's not hanging right. Doesn't drape correctly. We just need you to be a little more skinny so that it drapes right. Hangs correctly. Got it.
In the NFL, because we're going to talk about your collaboration in the NFL. The NFL, when you're coming out of college and you're going to the draft, that sound like loving, caring parents. But why do you think they said no? That was that just simply they didn't.
And I was like, so you're going to rent me an apartment, right?
Your dance dreams are over. You by way of that, it's like, hey, you're too tall or whatever. You start designing or it sounds like making clothes to a degree. And that's when you said, hey, I think this is the path I want to go to. And that is in New York. How are your parents, what was their response to that decision or that direction you wanted to take your life in?
So
this is good, Rebecca. This is very, very good. Thank you for providing us with this incredible information. You guys pay attention to this part right here.
Parents were very unconventional and they said to all of us, whatever you guys want to do is fine. We're not paying for it.
Parents were very unconventional. Remember when she was asked in our other live, we discussed this, you guys, when Rebecca gets asked, what do you want to be known for as a mother? And she goes, I want to be remembered as being very unconventional, walking around naked and answering all their sexual questions. And you just called out your parents being very unconventional too, and not wanting to pay for anything, which again, you guys, that's how our parents treated us. Why do you think that I couldn't go into a school when I was moved into Florida? Because my parents said, you have to pay for that. You don't have money to pay for that school. So I couldn't work. I was like literally 12 or 13 when I first moved. It's ridiculous.
You want to go to college, figure it out. You want to go to work, great, get a job. So when I did say to them, okay, I'd like to go to New York, my brother knew a designer. He got me an internship. And I was like, so you're going to rent me an apartment, right? And they're like, no. And I was like, cool.
Why
I knew this.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I knew that answer was coming. So then it was on me to figure out where I was going to stay. And
see, here's where there's a little cacamimi story, Rebecca. And we're going to literally clock your shit. Now, I didn't meet you in New York when you first got there. Granted, I remember being at Flag, being told that you had moved to New York. So I remember the time that it happened. But I definitely remember, and you have this whole cacamimi story that you just like started from the bottom, you became almost homeless. And When I met you in New York, I met you at a Soho apartment you were renting with other girls, and your dad, David Minkoff, had to have been put on the lease because you needed a guarantor that made enough money so that you could have your little Soho fancy apartment. And you know what you've never noticed in your entire PR tour? That little Soho apartment that I went to visit you in. Shortly after I had been trafficked into the Sea Org, moved myself across state lines when I did finally leave that trafficking situation, Rebecca. And, you know, I just thought, hey, there's Becky Minkoff in New York. Let me hit you up. Let me see if you can help us. And at the beginning, you did help us. So credit when credit is due for you. Never mind that, you know, maybe the help wasn't that great because of what happened. That will be another time for another situation that we'll discuss that in detail. But let's not forget that you had a nice little Soho apartment that your daddy, David Minkoff, maybe she didn't give you $1, but, you know, he signed something about the lease, Rebecca.
Arrange everything myself, which was a common thread through my whole life. So I think I was used to it. And so I was like, great, I got to find a place.
So a common thread for your life was that your dad and your mom were like, you're on your own. We're not going to help you a shred. It checks out. It checks out because that's what type of Scientology parents they are. They're just deadbeat parents that go, I'm not going to put you out of exchange. Are you kidding me? Why would I pay for your stuff? You can do it. You're an adult in a small body. You can figure it out. Figure it out. Not my problem.
I stay. It's going to be in my friend's college dorm. And I'll figure it out after 2 weeks what I'm going to do.
So if I, listening to why you moved from San Diego, it sounds like, and you may have felt at the time it was misguided, but like your parents really were considering you and like, hey, I want to make sure our kids are in a good neighborhood and, from a place of loving and care that.
Oh my God, you guys, like this guy, like, imagine like how much money must be getting paid to you for you to like continue to try and sanitize something that you don't even know what in the hell you're talking about. Sue Minkoff and David Minkoff made up an excuse to uproot their 3 kids from San Diego where they were happy, had stability, where Becky was having an idyllic childhood, according to her, as we know now. The one and only kid in Scientology that apparently got an idyllic childhood by Rebecca Minkoff herself. Because you're that privileged, because you're that, amazing, Becky. So must be great to be you with that idyllic childhood that you did have for yourself. And with your little buddy here, Kyle, trying to really say that your parents moved to Florida because they really wanted you guys to have a great childhood at a Scientology hotel, sir. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you even know what they do to kids inside Scientology hotels or nah?
Sound like loving, caring parents, but
Yeah.
Why do you think they said no? Was that just simply they didn't have the money, or was there like a principle or value they were looking to instill in you?
I think it was both. Even to this day, I do the same thing to my children. And my
Isn't it great, you guys, that Rebecca does the same thing to her children? So that hope we were having, Rebecca, that delusional hope we were having that, you know what, maybe Becky decided my parents were crazy. They never really wanted to help me. I just literally told the podcaster that. But then I'm going to do the same thing to my kids. So I don't think I have a lot of hope that your kids are not exposed to Scientology, because sounds like you're all about it. Sounds like you're all literally about it.
mom talks about how she was a surprise baby 10 years after her brother. And she said her parents doted on her and gave her a lot, even though they didn't have a lot, but for whatever they had, they gave it to her. And she remembers going to college and not knowing how to do much. And she was like, I didn't want to raise children that had that experience.
So deadbeat mother, Scientology mother, Sue Minkoff, that had it good, that had parents that, they didn't have much, but they just really went above and beyond to support her, to help her, to put her, in a good place. Sue Minkoff came out of that and said, that idyllic childhood I had for myself, When I got to college, I had no idea what in the hell to do. Let me go ruin every one of my childhoods, of my children's childhoods. Because why would I want them to have idyllic childhoods where I'm providing for them in a way that a mother should? That's what we're asking. That's what we're denouncing here, you guys. The kids in Scientology are not getting mothers. By the time L. Ron Hubbard has his way with these mothers, they become lunatics. Cuckoo, cuckoo. A kid is an adult. A kid is not a body. A kid doesn't feel grief. They're just a down tone. They're in a tone scale. If a kid says no, I don't give a fuck because I can just tone 40. Those are the phrases that Scientology parents are using. And that last phrase I said is, if a kid says no and they can just tone 40, means they can override you. Anything you say no to, they don't give a fuck about. They'll force you to do it anyways. You don't get a choice. You have no autonomy. You have no freedom. You have these self-entitled people with a complete and utter deranged superiority complex that they won't drop because it's been beneficial to some of them to keep it because the cult has, kind of cradled and canoodled them in a way.
Wow. So I have 4 kids from 3 to 14, and I aspire to be that. As I'm sure you know, that is easier said than done. It takes tremendous discipline. I tell people, when it comes to having means and wealth as a parent, to me, it's easier to say I can't than it is to say I won't. Like your kid says, hey, I want a pony, or, I want you to pay for my apartment. If you don't have the money, you get to, it's not hide behind, you get to just say, hey, the reality is I can't afford it.
Yeah.
To say I have the money, I can't afford it, but I won't. That's a battle.
It's a battle, but I say it every.
The battle of the entitled, privileged, full of resources parents. Whoever this man is, apparently he's full of resources and has got it all. And here they're trying to agree on not giving their kids what they need because Rebecca's mom didn't want to do that, because that's what the parents of Rebecca's mom did to her. And she said, I ended up in college and not knowing what I wanted, so I don't want to give my kids what they need and want because that didn't work out good for me. Okay, got it. Glad that you had a childhood, Sue Minkoff, which is more than any child inside of a Scientology hotel can say for their goddamn selves. Thanks to you, thanks to your deadbeat husband, Dr. David Minkoff. Thanks to both of you that stood there normalizing this, making our parents think that it was normal, because it took all the parents to sit there together inside of those hotels, exchanging and making their kids fair game to be exposed to everything these adults were getting exposed to. So for all of you that wanted to say nobody knows a shred of nothing, they all know everything. None of them can claim they don't know.
Every day on purpose. She'll be like, can you just buy me this $20 thing on Amazon? I was like, how are you gonna earn it? Or go make a chore list. It's so much more work to say no and to make them earn it. It is so easy to say yes.
Would you?
All transactional. There's no relationship. Oh, you want a $20 thing on Amazon? How are you going to earn that? $20 thing on Amazon. How you're going to earn that? In Scientology, that's what they tell the parents. Oh, you don't want to spoil and rotten your kids by helping them, by, giving them what they need. No, you're going to ruin them. They're at exchange. They're criminals. Criminal exchange. L. Ron Hubbard did say here that if you give something to somebody that doesn't give it back to you, then they become a criminal. So the Scientology parents go, I'm not going to do this for my son, for my daughter, because I don't want to make them criminals. How are you going to earn it? What are you going to do for those $20? Well, what do you want me to do, Daddy? Should I do an assist on you? Would that earn me $20? Good. Let's go to your room so I can start going at you on the assist.
Argue that I'm agreeing with you. It's so much more work to say no and make them earn it. But actually, long term, it's actually less work because there's a very, very clear correlation, parallel, and increased probability that your kid will be able to take care of themselves in that sense than if you just say yes to everything and then one day you wake up and you wonder why kids and adult are still living in the house. You're still paying the credit card bills. You're like,
Yep.
That's why, at least that's what I tell myself. It's a battle. Though.
It's a battle because you're also, I don't know about you, when I say no, the feeling I get is being told no.
Yeah.
And how shitty as a kid that was.
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
Yeah, Rebecca, because you grew up with a deadbeat mother, Sue Minkoff, that told you no, that was completely depraved, that was completely out of her mind, that was completely like cult obsessed. And imagine you have the awareness of how shitty it felt for you to get no actual love and care from your own mother, the idyllic childhood you apparently did pitch you had. And you know how that makes you feel. But let me just do it to my kids, because apparently worked out so great. Look how great you turned out, right?
am I doing this to my kid? But look what happened to me. I'm a self-starter. I know how to make.
Look what happened to me, you guys. Rebecca Minkoff. Look what a success you are. I mean, if I abuse my child, I'm abused, and look how I turned out. Wow. Wow. I mean, just when you think it cannot get worse, the admissions that you make, Rebecca, are damning. It's giving damning AF.
Things happen. So it's like this constant, like, am I damaging you? No, I'm not damaging you. I'm giving you tools for success.
Yeah, I would say
if you're running your kids on Scientology policies, Rebecca, breaking news to you, you're damaging them. Imagine your maternal instincts come up. Imagine that you are self-aware enough to know, oh, you know what? Felt like shit when I was a child and my mom just told me no and told me to earn everything and told me to go to the flea market to sell myself. So how do you have all of that self-awareness and then go, oh yeah, but I still tell them no. I still tell them earn them. And am I hurting them? Oh no, I'm not hurting them. I'm putting them ready for success. That was a false pitch, Rebecca. Abuse does not set you up for success. So I'm glad that we're breaking these news to you finally, because apparently you cannot connect that dot. That abuse does not equal success. You have to have success in spite of having been F with by your own parents, mind you. Not by any old Joe Schmo. Your own parents are in on the deal of having you completely effed as they sit there, grown adults that they all were, purporting that they can have this religious belief where they all of a sudden all agree kids are adults. And apparently you're on that train too.
It just doesn't feel like, I was going to piggyback on that. For me, when you say no, or you effectively tell your kid, no, I won't, it in them, it's probably not rational in the sense like it creates pain, right? It's a rejection. And then you feel what your kids feel. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm creating.
You know what creates pain, Kyle? Being told that you're not a child. That's what creates pain to the kids in Scientology. Being told that, the grief you're experiencing, get rid of that because that's creating a problem for us, and come up tone. Don't process your emotions because we don't got time to process your emotions. We don't give a fuck why you're upset. You're just motivating and banky. Go take a walk. Go do some physical shit. Go get productive is what they tell you. Oh, you're not, your morale is so low. You're depressed because you're not productive. You're not at the flea market like Rebecca at 8 years old, really wanting to sell something. That's what hurts a child. So before you open your mouth about really wanting to talk about what hurts children, you're talking to a woman that grew up in a cult and, is a spokeswoman for the cult. Real Housewives of New York, Rebecca Minkoff is a literal spokesman for the cult. She's already gone on Bravo. She's already gone to Page 6. She's already been doing all this circuitry of trying to SEO her way out of, what she's been called out for. But here's the creative determination. Rebecca Minkoff on fashion, business, and RHONY.
This pain in my child and everything against our nature, and watching my wife even more so for her, like, is to protect them from pain, even, obviously physical pain, but emotional pain. And this is, perhaps there's a fine line because, in today's society, it seems like it's almost too.
Have a little bit of discernment. That's all you're being asked to have as a parent. I'm no parent, but you know what? If you just fucking hone in on discernment and really understanding and putting yourself in the shoes of a child to understand intellectually what's available to them, I mean, if that's not available to you, maybe you shouldn't be parenting. Maybe you shouldn't be parenting. If that's not just common sense and clear to you that you need to have discernment, then how are you going to be responsible for a kid? Because that's what was lost in all Scientology parents. They had no discernment. They had no thoughts of their own. They had no critical thinking skills. They couldn't rein back the rhetoric. They couldn't disagree with anything. They couldn't water anything down. They couldn't impose any common sense boundaries. And just like that, all kids became sacrificial lambs for their disgusting adult game only that plays out inside Scientology hotels 24/7, 365.
Too far that way, where we protect our children from so much adversity or pain or rejection that they get into being adults and they never face it. And to your mom's point, and how
No. In Scientology, they didn't protect you from shit. There was no protection for our pain. They didn't give a fuck. Oh, you're in pain? Do an assist and get rid of the pain. Oh, you're upset? Go get a floating needle and get rid of that idea that you're upset. Love it inside of the hotel at all times.
how it sounds like she raised you, and maybe how she wasn't raised, right? Is like she said, I got to college, I didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost asking for advice here, because like it's such a
That's a cockamamie story. I'm sorry. Sue Minkoff, if you were nourished, helped, given everything your parents could give you, and by college you said that you couldn't do anything, I mean, what's your excuse? We were effed over. We had no childhood, and we still didn't have the luxury of what? Calling ourselves useless, even though you all took our childhoods away from us. You all ruined our childhoods by shoving yourselves in course rooms with us and forcing us to be part of something we never agreed to be a part of.
it's such a battle, you know,
It's a
especially
battle.
with kids.
You know what really helps reinforce it though? I have a lot of friends who don't do this, and I look at their
Just gets-
kids
yeah.
and I'm like, you're going to suck and you don't know how to do anything.
So for all those friends that Rebecca has, Scientology moms, I mean, not Scientology and non-Scientology, that's what Rebecca thinks of you. You're going to wish you didn't do that, because you know what's good about the Scientology kids that get treated as adults, you guys? You know what's so great for the Scientologists, why they love it? Because with that level of delusion, they force kids to have no emotions. They force kids to always be perfect, be uptone, be happy, be very good indicators, or otherwise you're going to get in ethics trouble. That's the problem. That's the problem right there. So what do they become? Miniature adults. What do they become? Yes, mommy. Yes, daddy. Yes, whatever you say. Oh, no, I don't want to go in ethics trouble. Oh, no, I don't want to have to write OWs. I don't want to have to go to some random in a hotel to get interrogated about something because you don't like my behavior. Whatever you say, mommy, I'll do. They become people pleasers AF. And they're programmed, groomed by their parent. They're taught the terms by the parent. That's what's so dangerous about this. That's why this needs a red alarm to go on. There is no other criminal scene where the parents themselves are doing all the heavy lifting so that the abusers just get a free rein to all these kids that aren't going to be able to perceive what is being done to them because it hasn't been pitched correctly. Because it's all been a cockamamie story, delusional adults helping themselves to situations with kids that should have never been helping themselves to. And if you don't understand that, Rebecca, then you're too stupid. You're too low IQ. Your Scientology hasn't worked for shit. Because you know what? We couldn't say it more clear, girl. So get that through your thick skull. Get that through your deep layers of programming wanting to defend your Scientology parent. They're deadbeat parents, Rebecca. And you do know it because you're showing us right here.
And even relatives who have raised their kid with, I didn't have anything, so you get it all. And I'm like, oof, I don't want that on my plate.
Amen.
So
Like,
whenever I see that, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Oof, I don't want that on my plate. That's what Scientology, narcissistic, disgusting, deadbeat parents want. I want a perfect kid. I don't want anything else on my plate. That's what Rebecca Minkoff's kids get as parenting. Great to know, Rebecca. I mean, great to know. It's from your literal own mouth, right? The difference is when you pitch it to us, we can see through the bullshit layers. You're not selling us your cockamamie story. We're seeing straight through it. Since we lived that childhood, Rebecca, think about that part. That's why you cannot gaslight us, because we're adults and we can push back. And now we know, having gone to real therapists, Rebecca, dealing with the trauma in real therapy, not with a bullshit hotel, not with a bullshit 2-week course, not with a bullshit Scientologist that is a deadbeat, wannabe, whatever in the hell they're telling themselves they are. Not by that. Guaranteed you're going to crash and burn if you continue going to that hotel to get advice.
I'm going to keep saying no to you.
Yeah, I gotta be careful what I say, but I certainly got people close to me whose kids are more along the lines of that. And it does help reinforce to my wife and I, like, no, we can find the energy to battle these kids, because like we don't want to keep saying yes because they'll end up like,
Yeah.
So, all right. So New York,
Battle the kids to say no. Got it.
so your parents say we're not paying for it. What happens?
I had a friend that we took in when he came out in high school to his family, and they were not supportive of that. So he.
Who's that friend, you guys? Who's that friend that came out? Yo, Sue Minkoff. Did you ever read Science of Survival? Yo, David Minkoff. Did you ever read Science of Survival? Why is Rebecca saying that now you were all about the LGBTQ? Oh, you came out? Oh, your parents didn't accept you? Oh, come to our Scientology home where we have a book that says that you're a perverted, disgusting, degraded being. We will really help you here. I mean, hard to believe, Rebecca. I mean, maybe it happened. Miracles and dreams come true. Apparently, that song, A Flag Is Here, applies to your entire life.
He lived with us for about 6 months. So he was.
So Rebecca's telling us that a kid that came out of a Scientology family, Rebecca, or just like a WOG one? Because that would be great to know. I have an inkling of who it was. I already think I know. But anyways.
Was in New York going to school, and I called him and I was like, can I come live with you? Can you take me in now? And he said, yeah, come on, I'll sneak you in every night. He was at Fordham University.
So let me get this straight. David Minkoff, that had 6-figure plus salary, going to Flag daily, going and donating a ton of money at the Clearwater hotels to, a woman he was obsessed with, Debbie Cook. Oh yeah, Debbie Cook came in. David Minkoff, let me give you another $100,000 here. Let me really donate for you, Debbie Cook. So he was all about doing that, Rebecca. And he was sending you off to collect on a favor. I mean, that's what this is giving. So your family let him live with you for 6 months. And then there you went to collect a favor, right? I mean, if this Kakamimi story is true, if it is, I don't find it believable, because in what world are Sue and David going to be able to override L. Ron Hubbard's rhetoric of what degenerate, degrading, disgusting people, gay people are, which is what they're told at the hotel 24/7, 365. So how does that make sense, Rebecca? Please explain how that makes sense. Because being LGBTQ friendly, you are not. You cannot say that the Science of Survival book is wrong, Rebecca. So don't try and sit there and go, oh, no, you got it wrong. I'm so different. I'm the one that, you're the exception to the rule? Bullshit.
University. So he took me in, we shared a bed, and I lived the, 4 men in a dorm room life.
How old were you, Rebecca? How old were you when David Minkoff didn't want to pay anything for you and just left you and dumped you and threw you out there? That'd be great to really start understanding.
That's wild.
It was wild. And then my parents came up to check on me about.
Wild, wildly inappropriate, wildly disgusting, given that your family did have the means, given that your family did have a way, given that your family did have the clout. But no, go there, stay with someone like that. That's what you're pitching here. How you got David from there to then co-sign on the apartment in Soho would be great to reconcile that information, because I don't know what you did, but you did something. Because when I went to your apartment in New York, it was not some decrepit place.
2 weeks later, and they did a deal with my dad's cousin. Like, I could stay there for free in the playroom if I cleaned up every night and babysat twice a week. So that allowed me for 9 months to save up.
You did a deal with your dad's cousin, Scientologist, or not?
Enough money that I was able to like rent a small room from a very old woman on the Upper East Side.
On the Upper East Side. What were you doing during that year to?
So I got a paid internship. I was making about $3.25 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, you guys. $3.25. So I stand corrected. Sorry. I didn't say the 25 cents, Becky. I'm sorry. $3.25 is what Scientologists were paying for a girl that came from out of state to really go and intern for them.
With a designer that my brother had met literally at a party.
Literally in Scientology. Literally not at a party. Literally lying. Literally kakamimi story.
So the internship interview was I had a ripped piece of paper with a phone number.
That's how it was back in the day.
That's how it was. There was no email.
It's better than writing on your palm, and then you're like, "What? Oh gosh, what does that say?"
The number.
You know?
So the interview was like, "Do you like to design? Yes, great. When can you start?"
Will you work for $3 an hour?
The interview was, are you willing to pay for $3 an hour? Oh yeah, great. Come.
Or
Yes.
yes. Okay, great. So what were you doing during that internship?
So the first day on the job, the CEO took one look at me. She's like, "Ugh, you're just another pretty girl that he just brought in here." And I was like, "Okay, thanks. It's so nice to be here. I feel real welcome now."
Yeah.
And she had me in the shipping department, and I was livid. I was like, "I just moved here to be in the shipping department. Who does this bitch think she is?"
So there you are, Rebecca, again, corroborating the fact of how foul-mouthed and disgusting Scientologists are. Who the F does this bitch coming out of your own mouth? And imagine Rebecca, you guys. She was pressed that she had the privilege, something that didn't materialize for anyone else at the Scientology hotels in Clearwater. And even though, yeah, your deadbeat, the Scientology dad, David Minkoff, sent you there, Rebecca, and you have to fend for yourself. But you know what? Some kids didn't have that ability to even escape that far because they were what? Serving billion-year contracts. Why didn't David ever put you in the Sea Org? Why did he just allow Max to go in there, Rebecca? Because that would be great to know.
We're still very close to this day. And I worked hard because I knew how to. And then she would.
You're still very close to her because she's a Scientologist. Still very close to her because she's a Scientologist. No CEO. She's a Scientologist, Rebecca. You've been in a Scientology place everywhere. You moved to Scientology. Literally, when you went to New York, you were working at Celebrity Center in Scientology. So, again, this idea that, oh, I just came so organic and I just came to New York with a dream. Bullshit.
Would put me in the sales department. Like, she just kept cycling me through. And each time I did I went above and beyond and made sure to do a professional job. So that lasted about 6 months. And she invited me to her family's house for the holiday break, and I couldn't afford to go home. And I was like, I want a job. Like, I've shown you that I can work hard and I want to be a designer. So put me in that department. She was like, done. You've earned it. You get $6 an hour now.
What was your work?
That's how Rebecca got her raise from $3 to $6, you guys. And you couldn't afford to go home, Rebecca? Imagine we couldn't go home even if we wanted to, Rebecca. We couldn't afford it at the hotel, but we also got it canceled. We would write a little CSW. Please, my family's coming from Mexico. They're all going to be here for Christmas. Can I have these 3 days off? Disapproved. We need to save a world. Nope. Next. But please, they're coming. Nope. You were downstat last week. No, you're disapproved. You can't go to Christmas. No. The Scientology kids at the hotels didn't have the luxury you had, Rebecca. I mean, at least you were working for $6 an hour. They were working for, I believe, what, 11 cents an hour or 9 cents, something about that.
Work-life balance during this entry-level time.
I mean, back then, because email didn't exist, and when the office was done, maybe 6 or 7 at night, sometimes you stayed late. But there wasn't this, what we have now, where it's just all the time.
Also,
but when I started my own company, there was no work-life balance, but I didn't see, here's the problem. Sometimes I think people come up with terms later to throw them at us to then make us feel a certain way. Or
No, Rebecca. That's what your cult does. You know what? We're having our own Bryn moment right now, you guys, because again, credit when credit is due. Bryn, the only RHONY housewife to really clock Rebecca's shit. Can anyone tell me what Bryn told Rebecca when she tried to pull this shit? When Rebecca was like, "Who are you? The what was it, like the location police?" Remember what Bryn said to you, Rebecca? No, I think that's you. You and your little cult that do that. So here's Rebecca going with like, who needs work-life balance? Because that's the type of boss that you are, right, Rebecca? Make it go right. Get it done. Get it for me. I'm Rebecca Minkoff. And you got all your people running for you like that. Just like who taught you to do that? Oh, yeah, L. Ron Hubbard, Rebecca. We don't have to go far to tell you what your personality is. Your personality is L. Ron Hubbard. You're an executive like L. Ron Hubbard told you to be an executive. Your brother went to learn how to run the administrative technology and use L. Ron Hubbard technology with you and with all of your little staff. Scientology, Rebecca, the thing that you said is the reason you couldn't be more successful and amazing and great and wonderful. But you know what? Maybe double check on that.
aim it at women like, oh, when did we ever think that this was possible? Have you ever had work-life balance as a man? Probably not.
No. Work-life balance inside of the hotels where you're told you're going to clear the world every single week. No. No work-life balance there for 12-year-olds, Rebecca. Mind you, 12. So remember, you have a 13-year-old. No work-life balance for your 13-year-old. So if you're this grown-ass woman that doesn't want to have work-life balance because you're that maniacal and you don't want to sit down with your trauma, because if you did sit down to start confronting all the things that you've been pushing to the side, Rebecca, you know, the whole world will fall on you. So hopefully now that we're deprogramming you from here, you actually start, you know, lifting that veil, right? Like we just need to lift the veil so you can see, because blind is not the problem here. Problem is you got the eyeballs, but for some reason you're pretending to be super myopic and can't see a shred of a thing.
I don't think so.
So I think that sometimes these are retrofitted words that like then get you into this like, I should be balanced. Like no one's ever had balance.
Retrofitted words, Rebecca, not you. Literally, what was it that L. Ron Hubbard said, you guys? The criminal accuses others of the same things that the criminal is using. Retrofitting words, Rebecca, is what the fuck you guys do at the cult. Oh, don't call it an RAPE. Call it an L2D. That's giving retrofitting at a whole other level than what in the hell you're trying to say here. Why is everyone asking for work-life balance, you guys? When have guys ever asked for that? Because you don't want work-life balance for women, because you're out there pretending that being some clout chasing, hustling girl is the way to go. I don't know. If somebody wants to be that, then, you know, sign up for Rebecca's program, because apparently she is running a program like that at the Female Founder Collective. It was, right, Rebecca.com?
Ever.
And do you think it's them projecting? Like they're trying to get you from working as hard or so hard because they're not willing to?
No,
No. They're not projecting, right, Rebecca? They're not projecting. There's no work-life balance inside of the Scientology hotels. People are told that production is the basis of morale. People are told that you working all the time and making a lot of money so that the cult can be extracting is how you go free. So go figure how these people can, in good faith, be operating.
I think that there is definitely a targeted campaign, or like, here's the dream and it's perfect and you're a failure if you don't achieve it. I don't know who's doing that. It's like a green man behind a curtain. But who?
The green man behind a curtain? No, your cult handlers that are not even behind a curtain. To you, they're at full sight. You know who these people are, Rebecca. Don't play dumb. Don't tell us you don't know who your president's handler is. Don't tell us who your auditor handler is. Don't tell us you don't know who your case supervisor handler is. Don't tell us who your deputy case supervisor handler is. Don't tell us who your senior case supervisor handler is. Don't tell us who your qualsec handler is. Don't tell us who your ethics officer handler is. Because you got, how many handlers did we just name, you guys? Plenty right there. And that's not even like all. Because again, Rebecca is the royalty of Scientology, the ones that get the most handlers, the most. Oh, what does Rebecca need? Oh, let's really send help for Rebecca. She's our influencer out there. She's the one that's bringing in the female founders. We're going to lose our female founders.
Whoever
Wizard
it
of
is,
Oz.
Wizard of Oz. And
Yeah, Wizard of Oz, you're the wicked witch of the literal East. Wicked Witch of the East, you guys. Breaking news, put that on your put that on your notes.
I just feel like then we feel like failures because we think we should cook, clean, take care of our kids, be a perfect mom, work out.
Cook, clean. Wow, Rebecca. Not you. Talking about, what was L. Hubbard's thing? Oh yeah. Women should just really go to raise children because, you know, there's no reason that the hats are being flipped. Please.
Out, sleep, have like a really full work day. And the only person I've ever known to achieve it as a woman, I found out from my facialist, she's on drugs. Okay.
Okay.
So I was like,
Oh, the only woman that achieved work-life balance was on drugs, says Rebecca. What drugs, Rebecca? Be specific. Was she on a prescription drug? Because that's the ones that you don't believe in, right? Because according to you, you don't need any. And you know what? I don't know. I'm not your doctor. I'm far from, but maybe you do need something. I don't know.
well,
You'd
that's how
argue
you
it's
can
not
achieve
sustainable.
it. No,
Not
it's
sustainable over a long period of time.
not sustainable. So once I found that out, the one person that was like
Yeah.
my example of having it all, I was like, oh, okay, no one can have it all.
Which gets you like, you have to sacrifice something somewhere. Because I don't want to be so like black and white about it, but like all of those things together in some ways mutually exclusive, right? Like it's to be the perfect mom or dad and to be in great shape and to be this crazy entrepreneur and to be a great friend and to be a great family. Like we're kind of in many ways all cursed with the same 24 hours in a day. It limits you. And if you have to sleep 7, then like, it's like, okay, that's 17 hours. And all of those are so individually so important,
Yeah.
but like you kind of have to, and I think over time it evolves how you allocate your time resources to it. But
Yeah. There are a lot of women that are like, I'm in this season of my life. And I hate that word, but it is true. There are different seasons of your life.
no, just scratch that question. No, I didn't say that.
But there are different seasons. I'm seeing it with my kids. They're becoming more independent. They don't want to hang out with us on the weekends. You know, pretty
Yeah.
soon I'm going to be like,
Your 13-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 7-year-old, and your 2-year-old are becoming more independent, Rebecca. I mean, I'm no mother, you guys. I've told you that. I'm no father. I don't have kids. But 13, 10, 7, and 2, they don't want to hang out with you? Maybe because all you want to do is work. Maybe because you're babysitting mom. You're having kids to shove them off to a babysitter. Very Scientology mother style. You have no idea the amount of rich Scientology kids, you guys, that were pawned off to nannies. That's Scientology's favorite thing. To grab underage kids to then become the nannies of those other kids. That's how they do it. Usually. I don't know what Rebecca's setup is, but
oh, I have a 2-year-old. Now what do we do?
Yeah.
With that one instead of all 4. So I think you also have to let where you're at, also if you're a parent, dictate like where you can focus and when.
Sure. So you get this full-time job.
Yes.
You're in the design business. What does that kind of career step ladder look like for you?
So within that company, it was a very short ladder. There was only one other designer, and this business had 3 styles. So it was really about the fabric and the trims. So you couldn't really expand more beyond that.
This is the Scientologist business, you guys. This is Craig Taylor that she's referring to. A man that would only do like fitted dress shirts, selling them at trunk shows through Neiman Marcus. Scientologist Craig Taylor and his CEO mentor of Rebecca. I forget her name. The other day it came to me, but I seem to have forgot it again. But I told you, I met with that lady that Rebecca's discussing, and she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too.
Very much felt like if I'm going to work this hard, it's going to be for me. So on the side, with the CEO's blessing, I was like, can I work on my own stuff if I get all my...
You see how she always, with the CEO's blessing, Rebecca, you were working in an operation that had Craig Taylor, whoever was making the shirts, and this woman. Stop it with the CEO. Stop it with the CEO. Like, she's no CEO, Rebecca.
My work done, and no one in the office needs anything. And she's like, yeah, go right ahead. So it was very efficient. And I spent about an hour, 2 hours every day at the studio working on my own line.
That's nice of her to, in the event, which you did, design some major hit. Is that something where she also wanted to participate in that, or it's just a totally separate business?
She didn't want to participate in it. I think when she saw it was like a
That's so
really
dumb,
like,
guys.
oh, this is taking off. And this was after I didn't work there anymore. She was like, hey,
literally.
you know,
That's literally a stupid question. Like sometimes like the questions that these guys ask because they have no idea what fashion industry is or what they're doing. They're just like,
go off like where you're like, okay, I've arrived, so to speak, in the design scene.
I mean, all those moments are ironic because I had definitely not arrived, but I did an I Love New York shirt that I had ripped up and cut and bedazzled. All the proceeds were going to the Red Cross for restoration efforts for 9/11 and rescue efforts.
So right there, you guys, on your notes, Rebecca Minkoff was giving all the proceeds of her I Love New York t-shirt to restoration efforts.
And it was in magazine after magazine after magazine. And obviously everyone take away social media or any media, just that was selling. That's all I did. I would bike down to Canal Street, get my shirts from my guy, go back up, make them. And my CEO called me and she's like, you've got to choose. Like, you're fired unless you can commit to me the way you're committed to this. And I know the answer, so go. And I was like, no, just kidding. I'd love a stable paycheck, please.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I see it in you and I see that fire and you got to go do it. And so it was terrifying to know that my meager $6 an hour was gone and I had to exist on my own fumes, which
Your meager $6 an hour was gone. Rebecca.
who knew how long people wanted these shirts? Plus any and all profit with the exception of like paying for my rent and food was going.
Any and all profit. Okay.
But I remember sitting on my stoop being like, and I look back and I'm like, I definitely was not making it. I was living literally in a closet. My mattress was on egg cartons and I was avoiding my roommate because I couldn't pay rent, but I had that feeling like I've made it.
How did that feel?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you have this, like I moved to New York, I did something that has affected, thousands of people. People want my product and I'm giving back and doing good. Like that's a feeling. That's why you go into business for yourself or why you work so hard for something.
What was your driver at that time of your life, your why, your motivation?
I wanted to make a name for myself in the industry.
What?
Her drive was to make a name for herself, you guys. Credit when credit is due. This is when Rebecca is actually getting real. So what did you do all of this for, Rebecca? Because I wanted to make a name for myself. That's what they're teaching them at the hotels, at the Scientology hotels. Become an influencer, become famous, become like Tom Cruise, become like... That's what they're chasing that so badly over anything, because that's the only thing that gets rewarded inside of the hotel.
Why? What were you trying to prove and to who?
I don't know if it was trying to prove anything, but I remember growing up, going back to my parents' very thrifty childhood and rearing lessons is like for Hanukkah, we could have a magazine subscription and that was a big deal. And both my brother and I would fight over them. And I just remember looking at Alexander McQueen. He's an incredible designer. He's not alive anymore, but I just remember the impact his designs had on me and that you could create something so artistic and so emotional and beautiful. And I just remember thinking like, I'm never going to be on his level of as a couturier, whatever.
Yeah.
Rebecca, not you being 20 years in the fashion world to not know how to say that word. I mean, just saying, you should have cleared that up in the dictionary.
But could I make something like that would impact another woman, make her feel that way?
What was that feeling when you were a kid? Like, what did it make you feel when you saw that? Like a beautiful design?
Wonder, excitement, like just like, how cool is that? Like, wow, hadn't thought about that before. I didn't know you could make a skirt of oyster shells, or I didn't think a robot could paint a woman on the runway and make her look beautiful after it's done.
You think
Oh, Rebecca. A robot cannot paint a woman. And it's called art. That's all. That's what an artist does. They bring conceptual things to the floor. But anyways,
I think that creative side to you, is that nature? Are you just born with it, or is that something you can nurture and like develop in a kid or a young person?
I think something has to be native, but I also know from a lecture I received from my brother when he was like, you need to love the business side of this as much as you love the design, because it'll make you a better designer. And at first I didn't agree. And then when I started picking up Inc. or Fortune over Vogue at the airport and educating myself, I was like, oh, this is another dimension. I think everyone's capable of unlocking it, but some, you're far more tapped into business than
Inc. and Fortune magazine are the ways that Rebecca became a company that made this much, according to her, you guys. So for any of you who are wondering how to become business savvy, Inc. and Forbes at the airport.
and I'll ever be. And that, that might be more native to you.
No, it's a learned skill for me. Unfortunately, my primary profession didn't work out. So let's talk about that evolution into and push back if you don't like this framing from pure designer to designing and businesswoman, where you're picking up Inc. and Fortune in addition to Vogue, right? Was that driven by the success you had sitting on your stoop, like I made it, but then there was the reality sitting home, like how am I paying rent? Where you're just like, man, I got to figure out the finance side. Was that the driver for you becoming this well-rounded, business person and designer?
So the conversation he had versus sitting on the stoop was probably a 15-year lag.
Oh, okay.
I would say. So the stoop was like, let's say 2001. He probably had this talk with me in, oh my God, I'm going to blank on my years, maybe like 2011 or something like that.
Because early on, like you're sitting there and you designed this amazing shirt. You did make it in the design sense, like something picked up.
I mean, again, Rebecca, like you and Uri Minkoff were always up to something to make this happen. And there's so many more players and there's so many other things that were going on behind the scenes that you are not talking about here. And again, if it wasn't cult related, who gives an F? But given the fact that it is all cult related, then that's why it's being contextualized.
Up and as they say now, went viral. That wasn't a thing back then, not the way it is today. But your motivations, it sounds like very altruistic. Like, hey, I can give back, or I can elicit wonder and fascination with the design. But then,
this guy wins a Titty Witty award, you guys. Like literally, this is the most Titty Witty man I've ever met in my life. He has no idea who he's interviewing. He has no idea what he's talking about. Everything he sees is sweetness and light. And you come from such an altruistic point, Rebecca. You just wanted to make wonder and excitement. And nope, sorry, that's not who you're interviewing, mister. Go take a book from L. Ron Hubbard and see if you can start understanding what the hell we mean. Because at some point, they have to start making more sense than this, you guys.
Again, you got to eventually, I don't want to say you got to, but the realities of finance come in. And so what was that 10-year period between your brother's conversation with you and this moment you're sitting on your stoop, like, how am I going to pay rent?
I think that as an artist, or I'll speak for only myself, when I was designing, it was purely emotional. And it was, how great would this be? How cool is this? How awesome does this look? Without any thought of how the sausage is made. And once the sausage has to go through the maker, you're like, oh, maybe that's not so great. There's the 80-20 rule. I was just thinking about, the best, most important things. That's like the 80, not the 20. So.
It's giving you're not making art. It's giving you were making shit up. Commercial stuff you could churn out in China really quick and put out there and go through your Instagram strategy and sell as many bags as you could on everything that you could put money into until people got tired of your brand and your sales dropped 70% when the pandemic came. Bingo. That's what it's giving.
So I think the reason why he was pleading with me for me to become as passionate is it does change. You can be the artist in the ivory tower. Your success rate will probably be very narrow, or
the artist in the ivory tower, Rebecca. Please do not bring up ivory towers, because Ivory towers is where the sausage is made, like you just said, right, Rebecca? The sausage. So where do the audits get supervised, Rebecca? Where's the sausage made inside a Scientology hotel? Bingo. At the case supervisor's office. The ivory tower, Rebecca. I imagine that's what you just cited right now.
To the few who can support you and afford those creations.
Before we get into the economics and getting into the morning after bag, things like that, you had a big moment. I think it was around the time of the I Love New York shirt, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was like your first big thing. You were on the Leno show. Was that surreal?
That was incredibly surreal. I wasn't on, the shirt was.
Yeah.
When she said my name, this actress, Jen Elfman, on TV, I was like, holy shit, everything's about to change. And it did, because then it was picked up over and over and over again.
I think.
By who? By the agents of chaos, Rebecca? Who picked it up? Over and over. When New York was all bleeding and the whole country was mourning 9/11, and then you did come up with that clever little trick there that you did, right? Taking something super iconic and then just, bedazzling it. That's your words.
Think about the differences in technology. Like, it's not like you're going to pick up a bunch of followers on social media because there wasn't a thing back then. And probably I don't even think I had a cell phone when I went to college. This was 2000. Like,
a flip phone was like a real
flip phone. So
innovation.
there's no group text yet. Like,
Beep, beep,
what
beep,
happens? Your
beep,
mom
beep,
calls
beep,
you. It's
beep,
like, oh my
beep,
God.
beep, beep. We all watched it on TV because you had to watch it to catch it. Maybe you could record.
Yeah.
I think you could record
I
TV
think when
shows then.
TiVo had just came out. You remember TiVo?
Yes.
I think I still call it TiVo. But
Yeah, so we saw it.
So this organic moment that happened between you having a connection to Jenna Hoffman because Stephanie, your sister-in-law, was besties with Jenna and Bodhi. Was Stephanie babysitting for them too, or was she only babysitting for John Travolta? Right?
And then people magazines picked up the clips and then printed that, and that's how it spread.
was there ever a moment where your mom and dad kind of looked at you, again, not that they doubted your ability to be successful, but certainly had a strategy to not necessarily support you in the way today's parents do, like where they looked at you and said, like, okay, you made it, well done?
Did you not understand her parents are Scientologists? That will not help her. That's a stupid question. I'm sorry, but some of these things are just like, I'm sorry, just like not, like literally, how stupid can you be?
I'm trying to think if there was a signal one. No, they've come to like almost all the shows and, they've done that thing.
That's cool.
Such an unfamiliar world to them that I don't even know when they're like, now they get it. But early on, like, I think they just saw a lot of stress and a lot of work and a lot of flash bulbs. And they're like, good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
Your mom wear all your.
So my mom has a lot of my old stuff and she saves it and she's constantly trying to get me to bring it back. And I'm just like, please be quiet. Just keep it. No, it needs to stay in the 2000s.
Have you ever had to like look at your mom and say, Mom, you don't have any style?
Yes, I tell her all the time.
Good for you.
Sue Minkoff has horrible style, according to Rebecca Minkoff.
So that's funny. God bless. So talk to us about the morning after bag. Was that outside of just the design and you, I want to hear about kind of your creative process of designing it, but was that the first thing where you actually factored in like the business or economic side of it as well?
Nope.
No?
Nope. Same mistake. Well, yeah, I guess so. So Jenna came back to me. She was going to be in a movie. The main character was going to wear the bag literally the whole movie. So I made the bag. I had 2 weeks to get it done, shipped it.
Okay, I don't care.
How did your life professionally change?
Items. Maybe it's every 2 months. It's that number. Once we got one celebrity and another, that it was just endless amounts of just excitement and press. And you could exist on that for a lot longer than you can today when someone supports the brand.
No, I used the word altruistic earlier to describe kind of like who you were professionally as a designer.
So there you go, you guys. She was getting it out on celebrities, and that's how she hyped up her brand, and that's what she was doing at the beginning. And she had a lot of connections from the president's office, and she used to work at the Celebrity Center in New York, so she had a lot of celebrity connections from even back then. And then in Los Angeles, she had an ex-boyfriend that had little connections to a lot of celebrities here because they were all going to parties together, and that's how the product placement started, right, Becky?
Early on, I just want to make things that people like and people feel, and I'll worry about the economics, the money later. At what point did you start saying, okay, I have to make this pencil, I got to make this viable, I have to turn this into, not that every business has to be for profit, but in a traditional sense, like a for-profit business. And again, it just sounds like there was maybe a conversation with your brother in there. When did that start factoring in?
It got real when I had a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I really need to actually be able to afford to live here, and now I have to pay for a caregiver. And how does that work? Now, prior to having a kid, my brother we had an apartment with 2 bedrooms, and he was offsetting our rent by keeping a room there for when he was in town for work.
So Rebecca was living it up in New York with Uri Minkoff coming there to offset her rent and her life only got real after she had the child, because prior to that, her life was making money on this bag business that Scientology was pushing for her to have success by, including but not limited to, providing resources she could go and promote her bags around, including the entire Scientology community, you guys, which never does Rebecca ever say, oh, the Scientology community was already buying my bags. All the Scientology women were buying the bags. So Rebecca was funded even from there. As she tries to make it look so organic, and she was not tapped to anything, she was selling her bags to all the Scientology women as well.
So then you're like, okay, that's going away because we need the nursery. You're just like, this stuff has to actually start paying the bills in a more meaningful way. And this isn't about just making art. So that was 2011.
So for all of you that were thinking you were buying art when Rebecca Minkoff was designing, she got tired of that, because she was like, this is not gonna pay the bills. Like, I gotta just flood the market with shit out there, because if you throw a lot of money at a brand, I mean, shit will sell. Shit will sell.
I want to use that to segue into what, from my vantage point, has been, if not always, certainly, I'll say recently, focus years, kind of well defined generally as empowering women in business. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Like, was that always a passion and enthusiasm of yours, or was it potentially around this time where the realities of being a woman in business, especially with childcare, like kind of it hit you right in the face? My wife had a high power job, went back after a first, and with the second, it became, one of us had to choose, and we collectively, she said, hey, you keep going, I'll caretake. But like, was that part of the driver for you, for that to become a focus and emphasis of yours?
Not exactly in that direct way. I think what happened was I was always an outsider within the industry. How it used to work was there was, a couple people in power, they would deem you the next anointed designer, and then a lot of support.
Can I push pause? Like, when you say an outsider, do you think some of that is like nepotistic, like you had to be related or somebody's kid or something like that? Were you an outsider because you're coming from Florida and maybe didn't have those connections?
Nepotistic, you didn't have those connections. The fashion industry, according to Rebecca, was two powerful people had to anoint you. Damn, Rebecca. Imagine that nepotism did play a part in your situation by way of being associated with your cult.
I think it was all of the above. I think it was connections, not going to.
Connections to who? To Scientology celebrities. Connections to who? To the president's office. Connections to who? Who wanted you to become successful at that, Rebecca? And what were they getting in return?
Parsons or FIT or Central St. Martin's, not getting the internship.
Yeah, you didn't go to any of those places. So you wanted to be taken serious, but were you serious, or were you just not so serious?
With that magazine, like there's steps people can take when they want to enter and be connected in the right way. It's been very democratized now. I think it's easier.
That's good.
The power structure has been weakened. But back then it was just like, here's.
The power structure is the same, Rebecca. Weakened, literally, come on.
Everybody, and then here's the ones that don't get to be part of this.
Interesting.
And so I think I always felt like an outsider. I knew something was off, but in my world, there was no glass ceiling with men having more than women. It's women bashing women for the most part. It's one editor in chief. It's one, big designer that gets an award. So I didn't even know what was.
Oh, Rebecca thinks that in fashion is not the men that are coming. It's she's against women bashing women. And remember, she just came out of the Housewives, where she's very pressed and butthurt because her cult tactics did not work. They backfired. They blew up in her face. And she's desperate to rehab her image as we speak.
Was going on outside of my world. And it really became clear to me after I had my third kid. We restructured the company in a way that 18 direct reports collapsed into one. And I wasn't deciding the thread count of this or the exact leather of this anymore.
Because you're not scalable, right?
Not scalable. And I did that for 17 years. I'm good. And I had some time on my hands, and I was craving other women and founders. And I was like, tell me how you did it. What did you learn? And outside my industry. And that's when it became apparent to me that like shit is not right anywhere. Women bashing women.
So Rebecca went to, hobnob with other female founders to see what she could get out of them. What are you doing? What's going on over here? Okay.
Women in the glass ceiling with, this lack of support there. And I was like, okay, now this is a problem and I have enough of a platform that I can do something about it.
So talk to me about, when you say do something about, what were those steps? Like, what were the first steps?
I approached it like a brand campaign because that's all I knew. I was like, we need a symbol and the symbol has to stand for something. And we need a photo shoot and we have to do a campaign. And so I got.
How L. Ron Hubbard of you, Rebecca? How L. Ron Hubbard of you? We need a symbol. Like what? The S and the two triangles? We need a photo shoot. Like what? Your promo and marketing of the hotel? It's giving fake pitch.
Gathered a great group of female entrepreneurs together. We did a photo shoot. We launched it at Fashion Week. And all I knew at the time was there needs to be a recognizable and shoppable seal that you can know you're supporting a woman-owned business. There needs to be community and there needs to be education.
And was this the Female Founder Collective?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I launched that almost at the exact time I launched my podcast because I felt like not only do I want this to exist, but I want their stories to be amplified.
And this was 2018 roughly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know their podcast out, but 2018 was kind of before the podcast craze too. Like what led you to see that medium as a I won't say the future, but as beneficial to your business? Like how did you settle on the podcast?
Because I was doing these talks in my stores and in my offices and I was like,
See, you guys, she was doing these talks at her stores and at her offices. What did I tell you about Rebecca being a Scientology recruiter? This is the modern day Scientology recruiter. They're not going and showing up at a hotel like they did with our parents, saying, we're going to give you all a seminar so you all can learn some caca mimi garbage that they're going to sell you at a hotel seminar and ensnare you in the cult. No, sir. Go to a Grant Cardone seminar. Go to a Rebecca Minkoff store to get pitched some caca mimi story that's going to get you to first think they're entrepreneurs, to first think that they're just so successful, and look how many people they have around them, and look how many female founders are here. Oh, well, they're all vouching for Rebecca, so she must not be completely out of her literal mind, right? Like the Scientology thing must not be something that anyone here is concerned about. None of those female founders have had any reason to have a question about any of this.
only scalable way to do this is a podcast. And it had been something I'd been thinking about. And I knew it was a new territory where it'd be easier to enter that than try and, like, I remember we had a meeting with YouTube and they're like, unless you're going to spend $500,000, you know, on video content, like, don't bother. And I was like,
so Rebecca Minkoff had a meeting with YouTube. Was that set up by the cult, Rebecca? So breaking news that Scientologists get special meetings with YouTubes where, you know, if you pay $500,000, YouTube is going to have your back. So whoever thought that this was a whole organic race, oh yeah, YouTube, put your little content out there and, you know, anyone could make it, right? Or what is this like special YouTube meetings that people are having where if you spend $500,000 in YouTube content, what the hell does that even mean, Rebecca? What the hell does that even literally mean? If you spend $500,000 on YouTube content, was that advertising? What are you actually literally talking about?
I won't bother. I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the impetus behind it.
So podcasts, the Female Founder Collective, obviously the Female Founder Collective, there's motivation above and beyond business, but do these things like kind of further bend the curve, the arc skyward for your design business?
You mean changes its success?
Continue to accelerate the success.
There's no noticeable, I started it and this happened.
Okay.
There has been, I hope that she appreciates that I'm doing this and that this is important to me when she's sitting there in the aisle going, which designer should I support?
So everything you do is performative. Everything you do comes back to, I hope that my customer sees me, Rebecca Minkoff, that really wants to empower a lot of women. Rebecca, how much power do the women inside of the Scientology hotels have? How much power do they have? The ones that are under billion-year contract, the ones that are underage, specifically the ones that are underage. How much power do those girls have, Rebecca? For you that really wants to go Female Founder Collective, we have our sign, you guys. Put this little symbol there and really, you know, Rebecca Minkoff, the founder that really wants to help and empower a lot of women. How much power do underage girls have in Scientology hotels, Rebecca? You answer that question with your publicity team. Put an answer together to that question. How much autonomy, how much agency, how much ability to control their life do they have? Because if you're so pressed about empowering women, in what world are you going to, what is it? Oh yeah, New York. To, hey, come to my Female Founder Collective, to all these WOGs, right? Like all the WOGs that you're going. Why would you be going to WOGs, Rebecca? Because you want something out of them, because you're using that as a meat marketplace to, what was it that you called it? Bird. What is it? What were they calling it, you guys? Bird something. The literal stupid rhetoric from L. Ron Hubbard just escaped my brain, which thank God. Bird dogging their prospects. There you go, Rebecca. You bird dog your prospects, female founder collective, got it. So that's how you get the 10% from Scientology for your FSM commission.
And then she's like, I'm supporting her because she's got my back.
So
Rebecca, you don't got no women's back. Women cannot count on you. The women at the Scientology hotels that are underage cannot count on you. In what world are these grown-ass women expecting to count on you if you won't even stand up for the underage girls at your Scientology hotels? Because that's the question that you and your crisis PR team needs to put on a paper. Since you do pitch ad nauseum that you're all about women empowerment, where is that energy for the kids at the Scientology hotels?
So I want to tie all that back to the book you wrote. It's COVID. You know, we touched on, like, we just, again, as a business owner, I can empathize with probably, it sounds like what you went through in terms of really psychologically, emotionally, mentally. Like you put so much into this business, you build it. And then in a very real way, I always talk about here, like, hey, you're not a victim. You have agency over your life. It's in your control. But that was the one.
You're not a victim here. You have agency of your life. You have control. This man, Titty Weedy from hell. Kids in Scientology hotels do not have agency nor control, and they are victims. So yeah, is Rebecca a victim?
One moment, at least in my career,
I don't know
if I actually have agency.
I don't know about
And
that.
my company at the time was, I don't know, let's call 500-600 people. It was like, and it winds down. Like, was it bad decisions on my end? You know, so
We had those moments. Like
yeah,
when our
so, yeah.
factory like had 3,000 workers and was letting in 300.
Yeah.
When we got 3,000 of 300,000 units, there was no agency in that. There was not anything we could have done to control
before
that.
they really got to the printing of
Oh, so you know all about agency and having agency, Rebecca. So why are the kids inside of the Scientology hotels not having a shred of agency? Is it that billion-year contract that they signed? Is that what takes agency? Is that all it takes? A little scribble on a piece of paper from a 12-year-old, and then all of a sudden they have no agency? How does that work exactly, Rebecca, since you do know what having no agency actually means, right? And you're saying you had no agency in the downfall of your own company. You had no reason that whatever it is that you did pulled in you crashing your statistics.
money in the stimulus and the multiple rescue plans. The first one, like, and maybe PPP, but like nobody thought they'd have any money because nobody was gonna have a job. And like best case scenario, the government would just give you enough money to pay your mortgage or pay your rent. Like just everything that was going through your head, up my head. Yet I didn't do this, which I did. You know, it's like you said, I'm gonna write a book. Like, what was that?
So I had signed the agreement to write the book before COVID.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
They checked in. They said, do you still want to keep your October turn-in deadline? And I was like, yeah.
We're like,
I
hey,
do.
what else am I gonna do, right? Yeah.
So it was a lot of dictating while
Yeah, because she was trying to rebrand. She was trying to build a name for herself, right? She's never not wanted to build that. She's never not wanted to do that. And the problem with you building a name for yourself and being a Scientologist, Rebecca, is that you are a clear and present danger pitching your cult to others. You're an asset to the cult. You're a recruitment normalizer. You did this on Bravo TV. You said all over Bravo TV ad nauseum, Scientology is amazing. Scientology is great. It's helped me so much. That's the problem with you. That's the problem with you. You have no vertebrae. You have no spine. You will say whatever the cult tells you to say because somehow you are getting something out of it. That's the problem with you. That's why you cannot let go of the cult. That's why you're addicted to it. That's why you're still there. Even you had a horrific childhood, even though at 10 years old, your parents uprooted you to Florida and you hated it. Imagine you haven't dealt with that trauma because yes, floating a needle at a Scientology hotel does nothing, Rebecca. So stop pretending that it does. Stop pretending that it's something. It's something pitched by a convicted felon. Confront that part of the truth first before you try to go, oh, but this is hate speech and bigoted speech. Shut the F up with your projection. If you don't like the facts, too bad.
I'll grocery shopping because
Really?
that was when I could get away from
Kind
the
of
kids.
your mind's rolling.
Yeah, I just would like stream of consciousness talk. And then I had someone write everything I was dictating.
And what was the
Oh my God, you guys. So Rebecca, you wrote a book with stream of consciousness. Well, now that explains the whole title, Fearless by Rebecca Minkoff. So it's just a diatribe of you streaming consciousness and then having someone, just help you make it sound like you know what in the hell you're talking about? Because I mean, again, you didn't finish high school. You didn't have any type of education. Can you even write a book? Can you even type it yourself?
Was this something you wanted? You said, hey, I want to write a book. Did someone approach you?
Someone said you should write a book, and I was like, yeah, I've heard that before. No one wants the coffee table book. What am I going to do? Like a history of handbags? Like, that's so boring. And then it was more like, no, what?
The History of Handbags coffee book, according to Rebecca Minkoff, you guys. And she calls herself boring. So which one is it, Rebecca? Are you a 20-year veteran lover of everything about the handbag? Or are you what? Like, isn't that what you're supposed to be an expert at? Because now you're pitching yourself as an expert in business. And you know what? Maybe you shouldn't be doing that, especially given the text title of your book, quote, Fearless. Fearless has landed you in the shithole storm that you're in right now. Not predicting consequences to actual adult actions and decisions that you're taking, Rebecca, where you're outside of your habitat. You said it yourself, where you're not in a controlled environment full of cult underlings that you can just go like that and then they all have to snap in place and go, oh yeah, that's Becky Minkoff speaking. We all really have to listen to her.
What were the rules you applied to succeed? And so I sort of workshopped it with a friend. Her name's Nicole Lappin. And we came up with this like, okay, what are the things that got you to where you are today? And are those rules that anyone could apply to their life to be successful? And I got to try them again during COVID. So I can at least say it worked for me twice.
That's right. And
It's worked for you twice, Rebecca? Well, third time is the charm. Third time is the charm. When you applied your fearlessness theory to the Real Housewives of New York, that's where you effed yourself. That's where you now have lost your credibility. You've shredded. You can't keep anything straight. And the more you speak, the more you sink yourself as it becomes very evident what in the hell you're doing, who in the hell you're working for, who in the hell is putting together your talking points and your narratives and your sanitizations that you're trying to put out there to try and do this level of crisis management situation.
And then now I'm taking a step forward, which is totally different than, design, though I'm sure that the worlds overlap, like the Real Housewives of New York and reality. Like, how in the world did that come about?
That is just, people are like, what? Did you have a lobotomy before you said yes to this?
Did you? Did you have a lobotomy before you said yes to this, Rebecca? Did you have a lobotomy? I mean, that would make you an illegal PC, right? Because didn't Scientology say lobotomy, psychiatry, la, la, la? Is that really what you were asked, Rebecca? I mean, imagine you telling on yourself how much ethics trouble you are in. Did you have a lobotomy, Amanda? That's what she said. Look.
That is just, people are like, what? Did you have a lobotomy before you said yes to this?
I wonder which of your cult handlers told you that. So we're getting a little insight here as to what the cult handlers told Rebecca after it became a problem, right, you guys? Because again, I told you when Rebecca first approached them, you guys, you have no idea. I have another way to revamp my brand, to sell my bags because it worked so well in the weeklies. And I was all about the weekly gossip columns. And then everybody just started buying from me because they just were like, oh my God, you have a Becky Minkoff bag. I want one too. Damn, Rebecca. Yeah, Amanda, that's what she said. She literally just said that. Did you have a lobotomy before saying yes to this project? Because yeah, you now have opened up Scientology to be exposed. You are Real Housewife of New York Scientologist. Little nugget there that's attached to it.
This came about because what was pitched to me was a revamp. It was focusing on diverse women, all of them except for one, almost self-made women, like entrepreneurs. It was supposed to be fun, funny, with a little bit of drama, was what I was told. And
Did you miss the part that there had been 15 seasons, Rebecca, of the show? Revamp or not, did you ever miss the part that there were already 15 seasons? That there's a way this sausage is made. Since you're very familiar and you love the term how the sausage is made, well, the sausage is made at the Real Housewives with a formula, with storylines, with women putting themselves out there with their information and their lives, and they make that entertaining. You didn't want to do that. You came there thinking you could just be a complete fake ass you know what, and no one was going to clock you. No one was going to challenge you. Everyone was just supposed to be acting scared, and you were supposed to just go through that whole experience thinking that, you know, your charm and your lack of transparency was going to work out here. Well, you know what? No, it didn't work out.
I thought, you know what, as a brand, one of the things I have in here is take a risk. And we've taken a ton of risks as a brand.
Yeah, no shit. Take risks, but don't take stupid risks. I mean, don't fall flat on your face. Don't put yourself to become a Real Housewives on a franchise that's going to expose Scientology to the level of scrutiny that now we're able to scrutinize you with, Rebecca, because you turned yourself into a Real Housewives of New York. No one did this to you. You chose that for yourself as a full-grown, adult, consenting woman that you are. You were hoping it revamped your sales. You were hoping that people would go, isn't that Rebecca, the Real Housewives of New York? Oh, let me really do a brand deal with her. You were trying to make that part of your brand, Rebecca, and now is a stain on your brand, because not only are you coming across like what in the literal hell, now the more you speak, the more it becomes obvious just how much you're trying to backpedal, camouflage, and go to every last shady podcast that has 307,000 views and 0 comments and 5,007 likes, flying yourself over all the way to Nashville. You're not in Florida. You're not in New York. Why are you flying to Nashville to do this? You said it was for the podcast circuit.
And I said, I know so many people that are my exact customer demo that watch the show. So if I can be in their faces every Tuesday night for an hour, and they can learn and see the other side of me and just see all these incredible women doing all.
They could learn and see this other side of you. What other side? You don't let anyone see any sides because you cannot afford the scrutiny, Rebecca. How did you not know that? How did you not know that you weren't going to be able to stand up to the level of scrutiny, and you yelling across a TV saying, you're a bigot, you're a this, and coming up with all your word salad and your garbage pitches that aren't going to stop anyone from clocking the tea, from clocking you where it actually belongs, so that you actually get deprogrammed from being part of a cult. That's what we're hoping happens here, as we've already invested over 3 hours of our time, Rebecca, to literally make sure that no one has a question about all the cacamimi stories you're putting out.
Awesome things. Great. So that's what I thought I was signing up for.
Is that not?
You tell me.
So Rebecca Minkoff thought she was signing up for a free ad campaign where women were going to go, isn't that Rebecca Minkoff from the Real Housewives? Isn't that the woman that, yeah. So here's your 0 due diligence. Here's you admitting that apparently someone has already confronted you of if you had a lobotomy when you accepted to do this job, Rebecca. So imagine the type of flap you created for someone in Scientology to tell you had a lobotomy. When they say that that's the worst thing anyone can do, a psychiatrist, think about the level of shitstorm you're really in.
What does your wife have to say about the Real Housewives?
No comment?
Yeah, no comment. Same.
No, I mean, look,
No comment. No comment. Same. Yeah, no comment. That's what you were telling girls when they asked you, like, what if somebody asked us about Scientology? No comment. No comment. See, Rebecca, it's all coming to bite you.
I'm going to answer that question. The Real Housewives is like a lot. It's like a lot of why you watch television, whether it's sports, okay? A television show, I'm trying to think like the, Yellowstone or the Game of Thrones. It's entertainment. Mm-hmm. And this is just my opinion. And really, it allows you to turn off your brain.
Yeah.
And in that, not just have to think, you actually kind of like turn off your anxieties, your worries, your fears, all of the, kind of dark emotions that probably drive
Escapism. Yeah. Escapism.
us to go out and be productive. But like, I can only speak for myself, and any time I choose to like, okay, I'm not working, I'm not with the children, I'm going to watch TV. Like, I want to be entertained. I want to have that dopamine release. Like, oh, what I'm watching makes me feel good. Why does it make me feel good? Because I saw something incredible. I saw something funny, or I saw something. Then with the Housewives, it might just be like, oh, you know what? There's people who have the same challenges and a drama that I do. And I
Oh yeah, we're all tuning into the Housewives, you guys, to be like, oh yeah, I'm having the same problems like them. You know, I'm also very pressed that, you know, my Lamborghini wasn't starting this morning and I didn't have enough money to literally pay to have another Lamborghini made out of a helicopter for me. Right? Like, we can all just relate. That's what we tune in. Because you go, oh, you know what I really need to do? Take a look at relatable women. I mean, it's the opposite.
don't know, and you probably can't even comment on how much is like truly happening versus like quasi scripting, you know. And but I
Well, you know what? Rebecca cannot comment on how much is really happening and how much is quasi scripted. But I can tell you that inside of the Scientology hotels, they're all running a script. They're all on a script from L. Ron Hubbard. So that's the script. That's what Rebecca's running. That's what she's doing. That's where the script is. As much as she wants to purport, it's like, oh, the Real Housewives. And I really cannot say.
this was years ago. I was talking to one of my best friend's wives, and she's really into all the shows, like the Housewives of every city. And I was kind of like judging. I was like, hey, why do you watch these shows? She's like, it's entertainment.
Right.
It's entertainment. And she goes, I sit down and I watch it. And for the hour the show's on, I'm relaxed. I'm just watching. And I don't, you know, sometimes it's funny and sometimes it makes you feel better. So I think that would be the answer to the question. Like, why do people watch anything? I'm going to roll it up in terms of just like, they want to be entertained, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. They just want to push the off button to their life for an hour or two and watch something else, whatever that is. Sometimes it's Housewives, sometimes it's sports, and anything in between. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. What I will say that I disagree with in any of these shows is with Naked and Afraid, right?
I've been entertained by that, you know.
That's entertaining, but no one is trying to harm anyone else. And I think, to me, in hindsight, you know, I thought I was signing up for something that was different than what it became. And I said it before I went on.
Harm someone. So how are you harmed, Rebecca? Like, when you get asked about facts, you project that that's harming you. You didn't sign up to be harmed. You signed up to be a real housewife of New York. You have been a long life kid that grew up in Scientology. Your father, if anyone Googles it, is up to his necks and ears all over the Lisa McPherson criminal case. Do you not know where you come from? Is that a mystery to you? And in what world are the facts of your choices of your life being presented to you? A projection of like, what is the big deal, you guys? Like, just let me sell my bags.
I'm not going to bash a woman. I'm not going to not support her. I'm not going to throw her under the bus. It's not who I am. And I'm not going to become a different person.
You're not going to bash a woman. You're not going to support. Rebecca, you know you're lying. So I'm not going to bash a woman. Have you ever bashed a woman, Rebecca? Have you ever bashed any Scientology women? Have you ever bashed any victims of, you know, including but not limited to criminal acts that could have been perpetrated against them inside of those hotels or commercial buildings? Before you say, I never have I ever, take a look at that part of your whole track and see if there's any withholds that actually start getting restimulated on you, so you really can start speaking to your withholds that you really need to be coming clean about, Rebecca. Not the bullshit that they clean up for you at the hotel. Not that one.
Person, because I'm now on a TV show. And that was not a role that is needed on that show.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, you're not going to sell your soul. You know,
Absolutely
so were they
not.
like, again,
Oh, not this weedy Kyle man talking about, oh, you're not going to sell your soul to the housewives. You're not going to do that. But you'll sell it to Scientology. You'll sell your children's soul to Scientology. Like, got it. Okay, makes sense. Is everyone tracking? I hope so.
and you're probably, you might not be able to answer, not just, I can't. It's like, were they like, hey, you need to gossip more. You need to like trash this person more. You need to create more drama.
I'll tell you a conversation that I think I'm allowed to say. But we came out of filming or something, and someone who worked on the show was like, why didn't you push back? Why didn't you take a harder line? He said, you're Rebecca fucking Minkoff. Why wouldn't you act like Rebecca fucking Minkoff? And I said,
Handler alert, you guys. Handler alert. Why didn't you push back? You're Rebecca fucking Minkoff. what type of person really told you that, Rebecca Minkoff? Because it's giving ethics officer, it's giving someone at the president's office, it's giving some of your handlers aren't happy with your performance. They're disgusted. They're appalled. They're devastated. Their asses are getting fried because your handlers allowed you to do this show. So it's not just you that is getting this heat. It's your own entire matrix of handlers, your entire bubble of people that advised you, that knew that you did this, that didn't stop it, that didn't. Because here you are flinging shit. Literally.
Because I don't need to act that way to get what I need done. He said, would you tell your daughter to ignore what that person said? And I said, absolutely. We have these people that we think, oh, the only way to solve something is to be mean or yell or be nasty. But like, what if not reacting, which I did in much of the show? What if that's a superpower? What if?
Oh, Rebecca, please miss us with your garbage pitch about the superpowers you have. To not react. It's called you couldn't defend yourself. It's called you were scared to make any ripples because you really just thought that you were just gonna look pretty and be like, hi guys, I'm here. And then what was supposed to happen? All those women were supposed to be like, oh, here's Rebecca, let's all just be nice. Hi Rebecca, how are you doing? That's what you all do at the hotel. That's the culture of positive toxic positivity you have at the cult. So you didn't know that you were coming to Bravo that is not run like your Scientology hotel cult, where people can confront you. And I'm sorry that you're finding everything mean, Rebecca, but again, it's giving you have missed withholds. It's giving you're not understanding what you're being confronted on. You're not understanding how you come across. You're not understanding that you're not defending anything, that you never say anything, that you talk in circles ad nauseum, that everyone can clock that shit. And apparently you're the last one to find out that. Apparently you're the only one that doesn't know you're doing that because that's what the hell you're doing.
If being nice is not a bad thing. And so I just remember that conversation when he was like, would you tell your daughter to do the same thing? And I do. I say, don't react when she does that. She's pushing your buttons. Don't react. She wants you to react.
She wants you to react. It wasn't a bull bait, Rebecca. It wasn't a mean comment, Rebecca. They were not being propitiative towards you. Like, why should they be propitiative? Why should they don't need anything from you. So if you're getting ousted, if you're getting called out, if you're not coming across, why is it everyone else's problem? And why aren't you able to look within yourself? I mean, Erin did say you're the most self-absorbed person she ever met, Rebecca, and you acted so insulted. You couldn't believe you had been clocked. You couldn't believe someone would say a fact to your face. You're not used to being told facts. You're being used to being told, Rebecca, you're an OT. Rebecca, you're so wonderful. Rebecca, yay, yay, yay. But you're not getting that type of treatment at the hotel anymore. And now you're pissed off, really pissed off.
Stronger because you didn't give into that. And so that was me on the show, not reacting.
And you could argue, and you
No, that was not you having your TRs in, Rebecca. You couldn't react. You couldn't answer. And by the time you did, you always said the wrong thing. And by the time you did, you didn't react. You responded with an OSAT leaky pigeon up. How about that? So yeah, give it up to you. Clap, clap, clap. You didn't react. But then you came back with your caca mimi operation of leaky pigeon to really find a leaker, to really find a pot stirrer, to really go into my L. Ron Hubbard policies here, to really go and see if I can turn all the women against one. When I get them to realize that, what, Rebecca, what were you really wanting to achieve with that?
who actually might track this is in not reacting and not as, to the degree perhaps the coworkers, the co-stars are reacting, like you come across better to the audience where it's like, hey, like maybe I'll buy her bags or whatever it is you're designing at the time more because most people I would argue would relate more with that, not reacting and actually having some decorum and some civility.
How much was this thiety, weedy man paid to continue to go, oh yeah, you came across so great because you didn't react, and the decorum? What decorum? She's being fake. Y'all want people to just be fake AF and no one call it out. Okay, got it. Put that on your notes. These people don't want to be called out. They're allergic to it.
Versus, either the people drawn to that show truly, or even the ones who are encouraged to create more drama.
Yeah, and I also think like I'm selling a luxury product. And do you want to buy something from someone who's messy when you're going to invest your hard earned?
Rebecca says she's selling a luxury product. And does anybody want to buy from someone that's messy? Rebecca. It's giving messy. It's giving chaotic. It's giving you didn't come across natural, relaxed, friendly, open, transparent with your ethics in. It's giving you had withholds. You had things you didn't wish got found out about you through this process. So yeah, why would someone want to buy a so-called luxury product from you when you represent that? When every single dollar that a woman gives to you and your brand and your name and your bag can, including but not limited to, end up inside of a disgusting Scientology hotel commercial building, paying for you to get audited, ethics handled, course groomed by including but not limited to underage kids.
Dollars. Like I was like, I'm not getting messy. I'm not messy in my real life. I'm not gonna get messy here just to like get camera time.
No.
You're messy AF on your real life, Rebecca. So sorry to break that news to you. If you thought being a Scientologist wasn't being messy, go double check on your PC folder. Because your entire mess is written down in your PC folder, Rebecca. So before you want to assert you're not messy, go double check what's written inside your PC folder. Your ethics folder too. Check just those two for now.
No, nothing matters. I agree totally. So 20th anniversary of the Rebecca Minkoff brand. You're re-releasing the book, and I don't know what we can talk about today. Depends on this podcast release with as it relates to your NFL collab. What if anything can you share with us?
So on the book, there's an added bonus chapter about stuff I just wish I would have been more fluent in: money, savings, investing. That I just like put off. You're like, the pot of gold will come one day. But what if it doesn't? What if it doesn't come? Then you have nothing. Cool. So the chapter.
What if the pot of gold never comes, Rebecca? Rebecca, the pot of gold, $100 million company. How many times did you pitch this at your Bravo situationship? $100 million, the pot of gold. Why should we be taking advice from you, Rebecca? Honestly.
It's all about that. Even though I'm not a certified CPA, you should not take my
CYA.
Right? All that.
Not a fan.
She's not a certified CPA. You guys put that on your notes before you got confused that Scientology. Rebecca might be a certified CPA. Oh, damn. We're almost done, you guys. But you know what? We're going to get through this shit. I don't give an F.
The NFL collaboration came about because I've known Aaron, and I said, you know what? It's my 20th. We did a basketball bag, and I was going down the NBA lane with that.
So now she talks about this collaboration, about the NBA. I think that we don't need to hear about that, you guys. This NBA collaboration where she turned Rebecca Minkoff, knockoff of a Harley Davidson and blah, blah, blah. Please, no. Conclusions and final thoughts.
Yeah. So what does the future look like for you?
Well, we have some new categories we'll be launching.
What are those categories? What those
yeah, we're going to be at some point, home is imminent, kids, intimates. Lounge is coming. So those are all.
I mean, imagine you're literally just had the most disaster exit of any RHONY in the history of that show. But you're now doubling down with your fearless attitude, Rebecca, to really go sell people how to decor their home, how to wear intimates, so lingerie and underwear, and what'd you say, kids?
Exciting projects. I think we might be also launching something that.
Yeah. So what does the future look like for you?
Well, we have some new categories we'll be launching.
What are those categories? What those
yeah, we're going to be at some point, home is imminent, kids, intimates.
Yeah, kids.
Lounge is coming. So those are all exciting.
Lounge.
Projects. I think we might be also launching something that is a slightly more affordable version of some part of my brand, not say which part of the brand yet. And I think this whole year we're planning fun activations to like really celebrate 20 years because it's not a lot of brands make it this long.
I was going to say it's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Until you didn't make it, Rebecca. Until you didn't make it. I mean, here you are pushing the narrative that you made it so much that you're completely fine. that everything is great, that everything is wonderful, and yet it isn't. You cannot lie your way out of this problem, Rebecca. You cannot SEO your way out of this problem. You cannot pay more people to put you on podcasts that have no comments and shady AF. I mean, if anybody understands how you can have 307,000 views from something you published 2 weeks ago and no comments, please advise.
Where's the best place to find all of this?
All of this.
Website?
RebeccaMinkoff.com, at Rebecca Minkoff, at Becky Minkoff if you want to see more slices into my personal life, my podcast, Super Women with Rebecca Minkoff, wherever you listen to podcasts. And please buy my book, Fearless, wherever books are sold, on Amazon.
Please buy her book, Fearless. No thanks. No thanks, you guys. So I told you all that this was going to be a deep dive. I told you all that we were going to start picking apart every single thing this woman is saying to sanitize and further Scientology's image, her supposed lack of involvement in this stint. And it is literally exactly, Tampa, pushing the narrative. It's ridiculous. It's like she even got called out for this when she was on the reunion. Like every time she speaks, she's on a talking point because these Scientology people cannot afford to have a conversation on the facts. So they always avoid it, and they always have used for so long, you guys, the fact that no one understands how it went behind the scenes. No one understands this weirdness that they're all doing. Nobody understands it. No one can clock it because they weren't there. And then when the people leave, they don't want to clock that shit because then it reflects on them. All these full-grown adults that were doing this as full-grown adults know that their best bet is to leave the hotels and pitch themselves as the victims to whatever documentarian can sit down and listen to their garbage and spew it back thitty-witty style like this man. Oh, but, you know, you were just all so well-intentioned, weren't you, the whole time? Because that's the type of investigative journalism, ethics, and integrity that had been found to be, you know, milking the Scientology story, milking it. Oh, yeah, let me really type this. Let me really write about this. Let me really tell people about Scientology, a religion. We were told by the IRS it's a religion. So no journalist has a shred of capacity to push back on that falsehood. Well, yeah, good luck for any kid getting any help. If that's what we have, then good fucking luck for any kid getting help, for any kid getting treated according to the law. That's what we're asking for, the kids to be treated according to what the law already states. Not special treatment, not the law states aggravated child abuse is a felony. Why is that not being implemented? The law states obstruction of justice is a full-blown felony. Every time they get a self-admitted, you know what, to self-admit to a felony, how in the literal living hell do they want to purport that their religious special powers grant them capacity to, you know, circumvent, skirt all around the LAPD, the Clearwater PD, the New York PD, whatever. Like, Scientologists do not give an F about the law. L. Ron Hubbard told them to exist above it. L. Ron Hubbard was already existing above it. So are we breaking news, or are we just breaking the glibness of all the reporters, of all these podcasters that have been laundering, facilitating, shaping these people, giving the full benefit of the doubt? Oh, you must be great. You must be wonderful. Everything must be wonderful in that hotel that you belong to. We don't want to ask you any questions where you're going to get pressed and start saying that we're being bigoted. I mean, because that's what the Scientologists have done for the last 70 years. Play the victim. And you know what? Adult grown women that you all are. Adult grown men that you all are. You are not the victim when kids are involved. So sober the fuck up and wake the fuck up, because enough is enough. We're going to continue doing these deep dives. We're going to continue exposing Rebecca and all the RHONY things that got missed, because they did teach us at the hotel not to keep missing withholds. And Rebecca's withholds have been missed by everybody. And you know what? We're not going to keep missing the withholds, because the withholds getting missed equals the children inside of Scientology hotels and commercial buildings getting zero help. Up to now, zero help. Up to now, nothing has changed. Up to now, no one's helping them. No one's reining it back. No one's putting their foot on the neck of these parents that are subjecting these kids to this. And yes, Rebecca, we would know. We grew up under that same shit. The difference between us and you is we're calling it out, and you're seeing there what type of next big deal you can get out of the Scientology hotels, the president's office, and whoever the fuck services you. You pay for that. You are now an adult making payments, transferring money from your money manager to Celebrity Center, to Flag, to people to continue cleansing your image and purporting that you're some great success of the technology of Scientology, which you are not. You're not. And that is just a fact. You're not a miracle of something that is so dirty. It's impossible to be a miracle of that, Rebecca. It's an impossibility. But you know what? This deprogramming will help you. This deprogramming will help the rest of the Scientology mothers that are in your exact same Rebecca Minkoff stinky, moldy shoes. Because this goes out to all Scientology mothers. Don't feel single-handed for a second, Rebecca. You're here. You're the RHONY wife. That's why this all applies to you. But you know what? Plenty of Scientology mothers that are your little frenzy wensies applies the same. So don't think this is just on you. This is on all of them. All of them need to wake the fuck up. All of them need to deprogram themselves. All of them need to come to their senses. All of them need to know that they're being degenerates, compliments of a convicted felon that is pitching them disgusting things that are all in your books, all in your policies. This is not breaking news to you, Rebecca. You can go and look at the policies of L. Ron Hubbard so you can see what we're denouncing. This is not coming at you person. No, you are a clone of L. Ron Hubbard. So everything you do, everything you regurgitate, all these false pitches, you're using L. Ron Hubbard to do that. So it's between you and L. Ron Hubbard until you don't get rid of L. Ron Hubbard out of your system, until you don't actually cleanse that, until you don't deprogram that, you're going to be completely effed. And you know what? We wouldn't wish that on our worst enemy. So the sooner you wake up, the sooner you connect the dots, the sooner you don't expose your own kids to this abuse, the sooner you denounce the abuse so no other kids have this problem, then that's where the real ethics change is going to be seen, Rebecca. Then that's when we're going to know, oh, look, Rebecca didn't mean to be part of this culture. Rebecca did wake up when she was denounced in the public. Rebecca did, take a couple seconds to go, maybe my mother was full of shit. Maybe everything my mother groomed me to be and do is something that I really need to be reconsidering, given the fact that you still have a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2-year-old that are kids that should go grow outside of the grip of the rhetoric of a convicted felon that shouldn't be anywhere near their ears, Rebecca. So yes, we're watching you. Yes, we're going to continue putting pressure on you because, again, this podcast, Sanitizing Your Image, has now confirmed to us that Scientology is alive and well in your household, that you're following on the footsteps of your mom, and that is something that is not sustainable. Not sustainable. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all that are liking and subscribing and watching us on the replay. You guys see, it takes us 3 hours, three and a half hours to react to a 1 hour interview, because that's how much is being left out. That's how much needs to be explained and contextualized. If we don't explain it, if we don't contextualize it, then who the F is going to do it? Who? Guys, we're still waiting. Meanwhile, the kids are still getting abused. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys all soon.